All right, everybody, we're live back again here with another English stream, and we've been doing this after a while since we haven't done any English stream, and we are missing one of our key members, Kali, and with me, as always, for English stream is Mahadin. So, Mahadin and I haven't done an English stream for a long time. So, welcome, Mahadin. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good to be back, I suppose. Yeah.
Right. I think, yeah, we need to, what we need to do is gain some traction on our English stream. So we probably are going to do a few different things for our English streams. Let's see how it goes. But if you're listening, if you're with us up until this point, like, subscribe and share and press the notification bell so that you get the notification whenever there is a live stream. And yeah, we're gonna chat about a few different things. This is supposed to be an impromptu stream. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick a few shots by Dawahwise, and then we're gonna review those and see how it goes. Basically, what were their arguments, and if their arguments hold any water, basically.
Yeah.
And
You
we have
know.
a message from Polemicist. Hello, Philo. Yes, hello, Polemicist. How are you doing? Yeah, so stay put. We're gonna review a few good shots and see the faults in those, if there are any. We haven't seen. So, all right, I'm gonna bring it on the screen.
Okay.
Martin, you have anything to say to the? One thing I
Let's
want to do is
go on.
one thing I want to do is put a banner. Do you want to edit this banner and put it? If you go to the banner site, can you access it?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I put a banner. I don't know if it seems right. Then let me know. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll edit it later on.
Is it the good? Is it the good and evil one?
The
Yeah.
second last one basically. That's what I put it, and I
Yeah. Yeah.
I put it out.
Yeah. Go for
So
it.
all right. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a short and see the faults in those shots, right?
Sure. If we can be quick to jump onto it, because we don't want to test the patience of our audience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna
infer what qualities must become have always existed. It has to have immense power because it brought the universe into existence, and we see immense power in the universe. We see laws of physics, chemistry, biology, by which the universe is governed, so we can infer intelligence. And the fact that the universe came into existence 13.8 billion years ago, it must have made a decision to bring it into existence at a specific point in time. Because if it's simply a material cause without any decision making or consciousness, then it had the properties to bring this universe into existence pre-eternally, but it chose to do it only 13.8 billion years ago. In other words, every domino that could have fallen from that material cause had an infinite history to have those dominoes fall, including this
Sorry.
domino, the universe. But it came 13.8 billion years ago. So it made a decision when to
Abbas
bring it
answering
into
your question,
existence.
Sami.
All right, Martin. So you heard that, right? That short. So
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
problems with that. So many problems. I think this. So his name is Abbas, I think, right? And he's with EF. Sorry, EF Dawa. I'm saying my bad. He's a part of Dawahwise, and see the use of language here. Time has been used so unabashedly. The term for time. He created this world 13.7 billion years ago, right? Now you have to think through it. he created only 7 points. See, times only started existing after the universe. That's what the current hypothesis says, at least the Big Bang theory says, right? So, and all we understand about creation is only in time. So that creation must have been within time, basically, if he's saying so. God needed time, basically, to create it, right?
Right, right.
Creation can
Yeah.
only happen in time, right? So that's one part of the problem, basically, here, right? And
Yeah. No, no,
and
go
you
ahead.
never know. Sorry,
Go on.
Martin, go ahead.
Aryan, finish what you're saying.
No, what I'm saying is this. Also, there's no way to estimate, or no way to say whether that creation is a personal being, right? And there is already an allusion to that, basically, which is not needed here. But anyways, you carry on, then I'll put forward my
Yeah.
thoughts as well.
Yeah, this person's
Ug-
thoughts.
hey,
This,
Madan, just one thing. Ugba is saying hi. Shall I make the link for him to join?
yeah, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Ugba, if you're free, please do join. And this link is only for Ugba.
So while Sukba joins, let me just clear my throat a little bit. So this person is obviously talking about something very similar to the Kalam cosmological argument. I think it doesn't seem clear because it's the argument starts from at least in this short, from a place where it seems as though it's mid argument. So I'm not sure exactly what he's arguing, whether or not this is like a contingency argument or if it's like a Kalam cosmological argument. I'm not sure, but I think it might be the former, what I said first, which is the Kalam cosmological argument. What? Or something, or maybe some sort of hybrid between those two things. And he's obviously saying that there has to be a first cause. He seems to have established that. Let's hypothetically assume he's established there has to be a first cause, a on-cause cause, and that's what he's going. He's trying to determine the attributes of the on-cause cause, and he's trying to say that it has to be eternal. It has to be a mind because the universe is designed. It looks intelligent. The laws of chemistry, laws of biology, right? It also has to have choice, simply because it started 13 point whatever billion years ago, whatever he said. Yeah, it started from a finite point, and therefore, if something existed eternally uncaused, it must have had the ingredient or the attribute of choice to go from a state of non-temporalness to a state of temporality. So in order to create time, otherwise it would have been a never-ending. He's trying to say there would have been a never-ending backward sequence of domino, inanimate, impersonal domino causes, and things won't come into existence or something like that. So he's muddled up multiple arguments here, right? That's not how it's really argued in the philosophical literature. I mean, he's used infinite regress. That's not the point that people like William Lane Craig make when trying to explain why the first cause has to be a mind, right? Indeed, William Lane Craig argues that the first cause has to be a being with a choice, a capacity for choice, so that it can from eternity create something within a point of time or something like that. And he has some independent arguments for that. But he doesn't argue that the reason why it has to be a choice is because otherwise it would be an infinite regress, right? Because that point never comes up. So he's doing this own little kind of rendition here, and I don't think he fully understands it. And
Right,
what else? Yeah, so I don't know what else he says, but that seems to be it, to explain that there has to be a first cause and it can't be a natural cause.
Right. I think what we need to do is we need to run it again once more. There are a few nuances that I probably missed, right? One more thing that I want to put it over there, and that we spoke in our last stream as well, that was a Hindi stream, is that, why would a god, and probably you already mentioned it, I was disconnected for a bit, so I probably didn't hear even if you said it, is that why would a god need to wait for an eternity or for up until a certain point and then make do a creation, basically, or create something, create a universe? So if that is the case, there are probably already infinite universes, right? Infinite universes with infinite creations, pretty much, right? And that kind of counters the whole concept of self-sufficient God, pretty much, right? So that kind of counters, but I think we're straying away far from it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it once again and see what his arguments are, right? Let's see. Let's hear.
Okay.
What qualities must this something have that always existed? It has to have immense power because it brought the universe into existence.
All right, Mahajan, why would a God need immense power to create a universe? Is that I don't think it logically follows, right?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I mean,
even the phrase
right.
that you mentioned, why would a god need immense power? No, I mean, that's going too far. You're already assuming the question, it's begging the question that it has to be a god, right? If,
Right,
let's say,
let's suppose let's grant him that some kind of a power is needed, right? And let's not fiddle around with the term God, basically, and then
okay,
say
there you go, yeah.
this,
Yes.
it's still, whether it's some personal being or a non-being, and whatever that cause it is, it doesn't have to be an immense power, basically. That's what my point is here.
Yeah, sure,
Because,
exactly. And the reason he gives in a short while, if you play the video again, I don't have to do it, but I remember it, is that he says because you have all these laws, you have all these laws of chemistry, laws of biology. So in that sense, he's trying to say that the mind must be intelligent. And I think he does a very clever not clever, but a very quick shift. He goes from it needs to have an immense power because it's created the universe. Well,
right, yeah.
What does he mean by that? Is he talking about the creation of the entirety of the universe, or is he talking about the creation of the first event? If we can talk sensibly about the first event. Now, if he just means the creation of the first event, then it doesn't need immense power necessarily. What does immense power mean? Again, he doesn't quantify it, but yeah. So if something creates, like, say, the first event, and it might just be like a spatiotemporal event, like at the Big Bang, you might need very little energy, right? You can just imagine the universe being the product of a domino effect, as he actually mentioned later on. But
I mean,
each
you can
Go
talk
on.
about quantum nucleation, right? And
Yeah.
quantum nucleation doesn't require much energy. I mean,
Yeah,
sum of total energy could be zero, and you can still have particles and antiparticles, right?
yeah. There
And
you go. But
then the whole quantum nucleation could start off a whole host of universes, pretty much, right? I mean, not just even one universe, but a whole host of universes, right? So that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? These guys don't have any understanding of what even what scientists are talking about, right? It's
Yeah.
just like whatever he has pulled out of his magic hat,
Yeah,
he's
but
just throwing it out there, right?
even with pure philosophy,
Right,
let's assume for a minute that we don't know any of the science. There's nothing
right,
inconceivable or contradictory with the idea that a first event that occurs at the beginning of the universe, or the beginning of the universe itself being the first event, can be a low energy, small event that doesn't require that much quote unquote power. Just keeping it very metaphysical, right? The language.
right. I totally agree. Totally agree.
So he's doing a little bit of a shift there, because he then quickly moves on to say, but then what about the laws of chemistry, laws of biology? And he tries to kind of create the impression that because of those things, you need something with immense power plus intelligence. Well, no, because if he's establishing a first event, then that's all he's establishing, right? It doesn't necessarily say anything about the rest of the events that may unfold, right? It could very well be that the first event requires X amount of energy, right? And we actually don't know how much energy that might be, but philosophically, there's nothing contradictory about a very, very, very minuscule amount of energy causing the first event. And then the rest of the universe can be an impersonal, unguided process of almost something similar to the Darwinian evolution. If you imagine Darwinian, there's models of the universe that have been presented that resembles Darwinian evolutions, where you have multiple black holes and each one can seed a new universe. And through this trial and error, a set of chaotic events, you can eventually get what you need, right? And and so on. So obviously, at some point, you do need to talk about cosmology and physics and so on. But if we're talking about pure metaphysics here, detached from science, then I don't see anything logically contradictory with a very small scale event at the beginning, and then the rest of the universe being a product of impersonal natural events, unless one can show that this is actually metaphysically impossible or contradictory. I don't see why it can't happen in that manner, especially when you have empirical data demonstrating that impersonal events like that can happen. Right? You've got one brilliant example of seemingly designed structures with its own sort of mechanics that can function and regulate itself without any intelligent creator, which is the mechanisms of evolution, right? Just through trial and error, through selection, through mutations, through reproduction, you can get very, very elegant, intricate, complex entities. And that's been demonstrated. Yeah. Sorry, go on.
Yes, but that's something that these guys deny, right? I mean, they won't buy it very much, right? So,
yeah,
we can say those things, but from their perspective, that is not true, because they'll have their own objections to it. But anyways, before we go deep into that, let's welcome Ugba. Ugba, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys? It's been quite some time since we did our last stream.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we put our last stream, so we thought, okay, let's do it the night before the Christmas. What is it called? The Christmas Eve, pretty much, right? So it's just started, maybe about to start, pretty much, right?
Yeah, Christmas Eve is tomorrow for UK people. You know.
Yeah, it's just about. We are at the cusp of it, right? Let's.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make a small point before I, Ugba, I'll let you speak. Just give me 1 minute, right? Here, this guy is talking about, and Mahadin even touched upon that subject. Is he's cocksure, and I'm saying cocksure about this, that the beginning has. I mean, Big Bang points to the beginning, basically, and scientists are not yet in agreement on that. Basically, there are different models of the universe, or the solutions to that, the field equations that do not point to a beginning of the universe, basically. And there are what do you call, loop quantum gravity is one such solution. There is CCC, which is I don't know, Roger Penrose's cyclic cosmology, basically, right? And there is one more, which is what, Ugba, you remember? The string theory, right? So there are quite a few different solutions which don't require there to be a beginning, right? And there's one more that is proposed by Sean Carroll recently.
Universal wave function.
I think I don't remember the name, but what happens is at the Big Bang, time flips its direction, basically in the opposite direction. Yeah, have you heard of it? So that's a new theory that's a proposed hypothesis by Sean Carroll.
I forgot the name of it. Direction, the arrow of time. He denies.
So the arrow of time flips on the other direction at the Big Bang, pretty much, right? So there are so many of these which avoid an absolute beginning, right? But these guys just keep thinking in their mind that Big Bang suggests that there is an absolute beginning, and there has to be something beyond that. But universe could be eternal, pretty much, in a sense. It doesn't require anything.
Yeah, right? I mean, one of the things he says about that is the typical argument from you can't have an infinite, infinite regress.
Yeah, infinite regress, right?
Right, and well, that is not. First of all, they always usually then go ahead to cite something like Hilbert's Hotel. What they don't really read is that Hilbert actually believed in infinity. He just didn't think it applied to things like hotels, right? But if you just have a different type of kind of model where you think about you don't think about it in normal conventional mathematical terms. you think about infinity in a different sense, then infinites can exist. So Hilbert didn't really go ahead to deny that. And at best, the thing you can do from Hilbert Hotel is say that possibly you can't have an infinite hotel with an infinite set of rooms and then you can add to it, remove things from it, because it leads to seemingly contradictions, right? You can't, you know, if you take out every even number guest, right? You'd imagine you've taken out, well, how many even numbers are there if the number line continues to infinity? Well, infinite. So if you've taken out infinite number of guests, but then you still have an infinite left, or something like that. But then, but then if you take out every guest from above room 3, yeah, now you've taken another infinite out, but then you have 3 guests left. So in one instance, you've taken out all the guests above room 3, that you know, room 4, room 5, room 6, room 7, room whatever, and you're left with 3. Yet you take out every even numbered guest, and you're still left with an infinite. So he's trying to show that, or Muslim proponents, or even Christian proponents will try to show that it's absurd, metaphysically absurd. Well, let's bite that bullet for a minute and say, yes, indeed, it leads to weird contradictions, and it leads to metaphysical absurdities. Yeah, but why is that applicable to the universe? Right now, here's what a lot of philosophers like Alex Malpass and Wes Morriston have highlighted. Is it really the case that we have a difficulty of conceiving an infinite set of items because there's something wrong with infinity itself? Like, it's not really realizable in the world. Yeah, because infinites can't exist in the world because of the Hilbert's Hotel problems. Or is it because we have a problem with manipulating an infinity? Well, what these people say is that actually what Hilbert's Hotel at best shows that there is a problem with manipulating our infinity. When you chop and change, remove guests, take things out. But how is this applicable to the universe? The universe is a spatio-temporal realm in which you can't manipulate or take or remove out sections of time, right? If you can't remove sections of time, you don't have the same problems of the infinite hotel issue. You know, you can't just take out 1 guest or 2 guests in the, yeah, and therefore, just like you can take out one or 2 guests or add guests or take out even number guests, you can't take out even number of time units of the universe. You can't just do that. Therefore, what Hilbert Hotel shows is that it's the manipulation of infinity that's the problem. You can't manipulate the universe in that manner, and therefore there's no real issue. Right? That would mean that Hilbert's Hotel doesn't touch upon the rest of the universe. You can have like an infinite sequence of regressive events. Again, in terms of physics, it's hard to. That's not really how people, like cosmologists, talk about it. There's no such thing as really as an event. But hypothetically, just assuming event, as long as you can't take out a section of time, then the Hilbert Hotel problem doesn't apply. Another way to think about it is, imagine if we just logically defined Hilbert's Hotel to be a hotel whereupon guests can't be removed, guests can't be inserted. Then you can have an infinite number of guests. And if somebody comes along, like William Lane Craig comes along and says, okay, let's take out every single guest above the number 3, yeah, or let's take out every single even numbered guest to manipulate this. Look at the metaphysical absurdities that will unfold. Well, no, this by definition is a hotel where you can't do that. It's a logical contradiction. Yeah, in its essence, it cannot be that you can take any guests out. Now what? Once you've defined it like that, now you can have an infinite number of guests. You defined it in such a way where you can't remove guests. What's wrong with that? Is that logically conceivable? Can you imagine an infinite number of guests? Yes, you can. And there's no issue anymore.
Right.
You see that?
Right. Yeah, I totally agree. And that problem, I mean, another problem with this is that if you can't have an infinite in the past, then you can't also have an infinite in the future as well. That also remains a problem. And the way they try to solve that problem is the future is potential future, and basically it's an asymptote, basically, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But what I'll do is, before we move on to anything, Ugba has been here for a long time, and Cosmic has also joined. Cosmic has huge interest in cosmology and science side of it. So I added him as well. Welcome you both. Upa, Cosmo, go ahead. Any
Yeah,
more points you want to add to what we have already said?
I would just like to restate, as Madan pointed out, that it's completely okay to have a naturalistic first cause. There is no incompatibility in it. Plus, as philosopher Philippe Leon argues, that infinite regress is more of a problem for theists than for atheists, since God creating time presupposes time, like God having a transition from state of non-creation to state of creation.
Right,
Hello.
right,
Yeah.
Plus, principle
right.
of material causality, which is also given by Professor Philippe Leon. He argues that it is as plausible as the principle of general causality, that material things are caused by material things only. So if we grant this principle, then we end up with a material first cause, which is different from
Right,
God.
right, right.
Yeah. I
Or
mean, depending on what this person in the video was arguing, if he said everything, if he was making the original Kalam cosmological argument, like and you can make it motivate it in an empirical sense, like everything that begins to exist has a cause, right? And you can give this argument through a priori reasoning, which is through pure metaphysical reasoning without from your armchair, and you can also support it through empirical observation, through induction, and show that anything that begins to exist usually has a cause. And as Uqba has mentioned, you can also, but if you follow that through the empirical line of things, then it also follows that everything that begins to exist has a material cause, right? And therefore, you can it's the first premise, everything that begins to exist as a cause is slightly incomplete in the sense that it should say everything that begins to exist has a material cause, in which case you can make the argument that the first cause must be a material cause.
Yeah, and another point about that, this person was talking about God having immense power. So about that, if we delve into the definition of omnipotence, then it moves from being able to do logically possible things to to be able to do logically possible things that are in accordance with God's essential attributes. For example, we can ask, why can't God lie? Then they will argue that because it's not in accordance with his essential attributes. But if they argue with this definition, that it has to be in accordance with his essential attributes, then it would imply a tautology, because everything in the universe ca- is able to do all things that are essential to their. Are you following me?
Yeah. I think I think so. I think that's what Alvin Plantinga makes the argument about that.
Yes.
Plantinga, I think he comes out with a character called Mr. Erich or Mr. Itch. I don't know what it was called.
Yes, he is
And
deformed. I think he has only one hand and he can lift his hand.
exactly, something like that. Yeah, and I think I've seen a different version where he can only itch his ear. Yeah,
Yes,
he can only scratch his
he can
ear.
only itch his hair, and
Yeah,
it's in
yeah.
accordance with his essential attribute.
Yes, exactly. And he said basically what he was arguing is that Plantinga is he tries to be fair in the sense that he attacks his theists' arguments as well. Do you know how philosophers try to redefine omnipotence or defend omnipotence by saying that it's contrary to one's essential nature? Just like if God is an omnipotent being, can he create a rock that he is too powerful to lift or something, or can he kill himself? Or whenever there's a conflict, they would say, well, it conflicts with God's nature. He is omnipotent, but that does not mean he can do logically impossible things. So, for example, he can do all the logically possible things, like create a dog that is red. He can create a hybrid between a dog and a cat, whatever. He can create a 80-foot tall dog. Yeah, but what if somebody says, can he create a rock that he himself cannot lift? Well, that's not this is what theists would argue, by the way. That is not a blemish on the concept of omnipotence, because by definition, God can only do logically possible things. That's not even a possible thing. That's not conceptually possible, because if God can create a rock that's too heavy for him, that will lead to a contradiction. But he can't contradict his nature. Therefore, God can only do logically possible things. But this is where Uqba's point comes in. Plantinga then looks at this and goes, wait a minute, if we can just define omnipotence like this, that which does not contradict one's essential nature, then you can define omnipotence into anything. For example, Mr. Earich, his essential nature is that he can only scratch his ear. That's the only thing he can do. But then you say, but at the same time, he's omnipotent. But then somebody goes, wait a minute, how is he omnipotent? Can he, for example, can he create a dog that's a red dog? Can he float? Can he do magic? No. Because that would be logically impossible, right? Mr. A.H. can't do that because it contradicts his essential nature. He can only do logically possible things. So Plantinga, like Ugba said, does a parody to explain that anything can be defined as omnipotence like this to resolve the omnipotence paradoxes or contradictions. Because by defining it into its essential nature, then we can just say that since its essential nature would contradict this possibility, it's logically impossible, but it's still omnipotent. But that's not persuasive. Therefore, even when it comes to God, when he can't do certain things because it's logically impossible, it's not persuasive there. He should not be defined as omnipotent, right? And I think a lot of philosophers do that. They've changed it to saying, okay, God is no longer omnipotent. He is maximally powerful. You see that? It's a concession. It's a soft concession there.
That he has the ability to create,
Exactly,
destruct, or rearrange matter.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think we have Cosmic drop down. So Cosmic, I don't know if you had internet issues or something came up. If you're listening and if you want to join back, please do. Ugba, you want to add something else?
I would just add that even if we redefine the definition, it would still doesn't answer the question that why can't God lie? That's why the Deobandi school of thought holds this concept that God can lie. They hold it, and there's a huge controversy around it in the Islamic theology.
Right. And that's one of the sticking points as to then why trust whatever he says, right? So
yes, that's what the interlocutors argue, that if you grant this, then everything can be false, even Islam can be false, since God might have lied to us.
You, no matter how much you worship, you probably might end up in hell, and then those who don't probably end up in heaven, whatever. And it could be anything goes, pretty much. That's what it is, pretty much at that point. All right, let's move on with this and hear what Abbas says.
We see immense power in the universe. We see laws of physics, chemistry, biology, by which the universe is governed, so we can infer intelligence. And the fact that the universe came into existence 13.8 billion years ago, it must have made a decision to bring it into existence at a specific point in time. Because if it's simply a...
So the problem I have here is the way he has worded it, probably he didn't mean to word it the way he has, is he has made a decision to bring it at a specific point in time. And that already tells us, a thing that this, I think he misspoke, or probably I'm not able to understand him properly, but he misspoke that the creation was still within time, pretty much, right? And not outside of time, basically, and time and space were created, simultaneously at the creation.
Yeah, this is a straightforward contradiction, right? If it is the case, there was no time, right? It's very difficult to see how you can go from a state of non-creation to a state of creation, right? Because that presupposes a temporal duration, right? Because you're going to go from one moment to another moment. Simple as that. And it doesn't make sense to then say, therefore, that there was no time, and time and space and so on came into existence, right? So the issue that theists make about how can something come from nothing, it's kind of reflected and mirrored in the same sense of how could something come from a non-temporal process, right? And if we make the concession that indeed there could not be an eternity or something like that, or make the concession there has to be a being what creates time, it's hard to imagine how the being can move from a state A where there's no time to a state B where there is time without presupposing and involving time. There's philosophers like William Lane Craig who've tried to remedy this. He's written entire books on this problem because it's such a damning problem for theism. And he's tried to reword it by saying that God is not temporally prior to the universe as a cause.
Logically prior.
Yeah, exactly. Logically prior or explanatory wise prior or topologically prior.
Causatively maybe.
But these are just mere semantical games, I think, because
our whole vocabulary revolves around time pretty much. Change, all those things depend on a concept of time pretty much, right?
He uses the concept of simultaneous causation for this.
Yes, and simultaneous.
Right.
But I don't think that we have any real proof, any empirical proof of simultaneous causation in our world right now.
No, we don't. I mean, the only metaphysical example one can possibly give is something like Immanuel Kant's ball resting on a forest, on a cushion in a forest, and he will say that that ball has been resting on the cushion forever.
Right. I think
Madhan,
we did speak about this.
Yes.
I think in our last stream, that there's no way that if you think through it scientifically, ball resting on a cushion is always going to have gravity act on it, and then the reaction of the cushion happening opposite side basically to the gravity pretty much. So it's not going to be simultaneous. It's always the gravity is going to definitely precede the reaction time. But since it's resting, you don't get to see that pretty much because
I think
you assume that the gravity travels at the speed of light pretty much.
Yeah, I think the Kantian example is pure philosophy, though. That's the thing.
I'm saying it's just, if you just see it from a purely philosophical point of view, you won't be able to find out the problem.
You're not going to be able to.
So
exactly.
you'll have to do a empirical evidence for it pretty much in a sense.
True, but what he's trying to say what he would try to say that this is at least possible. Do you understand? So imagine if the laws of gravity didn't exist. Imagine if the basic scientific laws didn't apply. Do you understand? Imagine if physics and matter was different in this world. He's trying to say, William Craig trying to say that prior to the universe, is there a conceptually possible, metaphysically possible state in which something can happen through simultaneous causation? Right?
Right. Totally agree with that point. The only problem is with that example of cushion and a ball resting on it, right? I mean, theoretically, it is possible simultaneous causation. But if you're saying that within that example that is possible, I mean, at least empirically,
he's not trying to say there's a ball resting in a cushion in this universe. Do you understand?
Right.
It might be the case what he's talking about is impossible, but he's trying to say it's at least conceptually coherent. There's no contradictions.
Right.
Can you see that?
In that sense, yeah. In that sense, sans gravity and sans those things, then probably yes, right?
Well, some people
then our conception of reaction vanishes once we don't have gravity or any other forces acting on each other, right? Pretty much.
Yeah. It's like imagine Superman. Imagine Superman existing in this world. Well, it can't exist in this world if we go with physical possibility, right? It's not physically possible. But then the question is it logically possible for Superman to exist? Some people may still say it's not logical. It's still not logically possible because logical possibility might but the only thing we care about logical possibility is there is no contradictions. But maybe there is a contradiction because you have to take into physical possibility into account, because then you're saying Superman exists in this world, and this world therefore contains the laws of physics. Superman laws of physics, there's a contradiction there. Do you get it? In the sense that there's a man defying the laws of gravity, but the laws of gravity cannot be defined, and therefore it's not even logically possible for Superman to exist in this world. But what if we said, is it logically possible for Superman to exist in some possible worlds? When we start talking about that, now we're talking about modal logic, right? And in that sense, is it possible to exist in a different world where the same rules may not apply, the same physical rules. Now we're no longer talking about physical possibilities. We're talking about just pure metaphysical and logical possibilities. And somebody may say there's no contradictions with Superman existing in a different world where the laws are different. You get it? And that's about it. Does that mean is this world physically possible? Maybe not. Right? And that might be the argument
Right,
that,
I agree.
from pure metaphysics, metaphysical masturbation, mental masturbation of pure metaphysics, you can't know what is
Right,
physically possible. And that's probably right.
Yes.
Yeah. But what we could say is that it's at least conceptually clear, which doesn't get you anywhere. But for William Lane Craig, what is he saying? He is saying is it's conceptually clear and it's the only possibility, meaning there has to be a first cause, there has to be a mind. Yeah, that's the first thing that he's saying. And
If
and
we
he's trying
agree
to
to possibility,
and then he's trying to say,
conclusion will not necessarily follow from the premises.
yeah. He's trying to say there has to be a first cause, there has to be a mind, and to get around the temporality problem, he's trying to say simultaneous causation is at least possible. Yeah, and then you might make the argument that given that there's no other possibility that can exist outside of the universe to cause the universe, simultaneous causation by a mind is the only possibility. So by deduction, he's trying to probably make the argument that that's the only explanation to explain the universe. I'm just steelmanning his case, basically, or representing him first. You understand?
Right, agreed. I mean, yeah. All right, Ubba,
Yeah.
you have.
Now, I would like to point out that with metaphysical possibilities, we have the case of modal skepticism. For example, in our second last stream, I pointed out that we can conceive of an iron bar floating in water, but if we closely look at it, then it violates its essential nature. We will have to change its atomic structure to make it float in water. And similar thing could be with God, that we can conceive of him, but it's not necessary that he is metaphysically possible or not. So I think modal conceivability is not a good criteria to propose what is possible and what is not. There's this problem with this. Philippe Leon argues this in his book with Josh Rasmussen. Is God the best explanation of all things? What's your thought about this?
I haven't read that. So, Madan, are you aware of it?
Yeah. I mean,
conceivability is not a good criteria of possibility.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay.
I've made similar arguments before by the philosopher of science. What's his name? I forget his name. Or everything must go. If you remember, I repeated them multiple times on the stream. Philo, you must remember it. Everything must go.
Right. Yeah, I think we have also, posted on the screen pretty much, right? Everything must go.
Yeah, right. Where from your armchair, it's very hard to predict what is possible and what's not, and in fact, define things through a priori reasoning about the nature of reality, especially given that we have a poor success rate of doing it. And I forgot what's his name. I forgot the philosopher's name. You might want to lift the book up for anybody who wants to read it. Everything Must Go, by a philosopher of science. It's a very famous philosopher. I can't remember why I've forgotten his name. But yeah, it's hard to come out with what is actually physically possible. I think when it comes to people like William Lane Craig, he's not, what he would object to in respect to that is that he's not speaking about this world. Well, of course, if you try to imagine that what is metaphysically possible, you're not going to know because of the laws of physics, all of the scientific laws and so on, what is possible or not possible. There's going to be a collision course with science, etc. But we're talking about beyond the universe, right? And if he's making the argument, if he can deductively show a priori that there has to be this one entity beyond the universe. In this situation, there isn't any of these collision courses with science. In fact, there aren't any scientific laws. This is predating science. This is predating the universe, right? In which case, there has to be an explanation. And he'll make the argument, well, something can't come from nothing, right? something can't, and everything that begins to exist must have a cause, and he can motivate this purely through a priori reasoning, right? Just like metaphysical argument. If something can't come from nothing, then everything that has a cause, everything
that begins to exist has a cause, right?
Yeah, exactly. Therefore, the universe must have had a cause, right? And then if you again, through logical deduction, again, not appealing to science, through just metaphysical stuff, makes the argument that you can't have an infinite set of background regress of events, so there has to be an on-course cause. Then he then he tries to make the argument that it has to be a mind. Now that's the worst move that he makes, because that's the least persuasive part of his argumentation, that it has to be a mind. But then he tries to explain how this mind can create something without any temporal duration, right? And he comes out with these semantics of it's explanatory prior, logically prior, but it's not causally prior, or temporally. Sorry, it's causally prior, but not temporally prior. And then he makes the argument that it's simultaneous with the first cause. God comes into existence simultaneously as well within the universe, and this occurs simultaneously, yes. And then when he makes the move that this simultaneous cause is similar to a ball just resting against a cushion in a forest, he's emptying out all of the scientific laws, right? And he's already hopefully, if he's been persuasive, he's trying to narrow it down to the point where this is the only other possibility. You can't have an infinite regress of backwards causes. You don't have science. You don't have natural phenomena anymore. You don't have any material phenomena, because we're talking about mind, and you can't have any other form of causation. So that by deduction, it's like it's the only other possibility. The only other possibility is that it must be a simultaneous cause that is conceptually possible. There's no contradictions, and that's it. And he'll object to what Abbas said by saying that we're not. Yes, if you try to imagine an iron bar in water, but we're not talking about iron bar in water right now. We're talking about predating the universe. So there's no collision cause with science. That's what he probably would argue. But I think you can still make Abbas' point, in the sense that in this format, you can make the argument that given the relatively low success rate of metaphysical arguments, the number of times it collides with scientific phenomena, right? Like the iron in the water, and we just get it wrong, and multiple other stuff like we won't know. We would not know, for example, when you the number of times you fold a newspaper up. Maybe you fold a newspaper up 100 times. How thick would it be? Well, we get it wrong. Apparently, according to mathematics, it will exceed the size of the universe. So clearly, we're very bad at these metaphysical quandaries in our brain, sitting from an armchair. Given this relatively low success rate, right? When we start thinking about even things outside of the universe, we have to be humble, right? And be open to the possibility that, yeah, it's true, the rules might be different, but what other rules might there be that it might collide with? Maybe there's going to be other metaphysical rules in which our thought experiments, just like the iron in the water, won't apply. So just because it's beyond the universe does not mean there can't be other rules, other sort of scientific things that we would call laws, or metaphysical laws, or whatever you want to call it, that it might collide by, and we should be humble. And this is actually what the argument that Peter Millikan makes in his debate with William Lane Craig. He says he does not put any gambling money in the ability for our brains from our armchair to use pure a priori reasoning, analytical thinking, to discern the deeper truths about the beginnings of the universe or beyond it. Simple as that.
Exactly. Yes, I think that has a point. One more thing I wanted to say, Martin. Usually, when they say, everything that begins to exist, that begins to exist has a cause, right? So this is kind of a copying out of this problem. How do you know that there are things that don't begin to exist, right? Is that a good question in that sense? Probably. When you don't have, everything that exists has a cause used to be earlier how Kalam used to be framed, right? Probably from Ghazali's time, right? But then this new version by William Lane Craig has this added point that everything that it begins to exist has a cause, right?
I think
So
they argue this from the principle that nothing comes from nothing.
Hmm.
right. So what I'm saying is you still have to make that assertion that something can exist without any cause, right? I mean, something can exist eternally, right? So there is a hidden assumption, right? I agree to that point in a sense, right?
What do you mean? Sorry, I don't know what you mean.
So everything that begins to exist has a cause, right?
Hmm.
That's how the first premise of Kalam cosmological argument goes, right? What my
Right.
point is, there is a hidden assumption in here is that there are things that don't begin to exist, and probably it is metaphysically saying that there are things that are eternal, and probably there is no
Yeah, I
contradiction
mean,
into it, but
I think you
it's
know
still an
that.
assumption, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still an assumption, right?
Um.
So that's I
Well,
don't know. I mean, if you're doing an if you're going by empiricism, that probably has a big problem. But as such, analytically, there doesn't appear to be any problem with it because there's no contradiction involved in there, right? And you can say, okay, there is probably a first cause, which could be a personal being, or there could be a first cause, which is probably some sort of eternal soup, maybe, of
hmm.
energy or quantum particles or whatever you may have, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you say everything that begins to exist must have a cause, I don't think it necessarily assumes that it's saying that things that didn't begin to exist cannot have a cause. But I think that he's trying to. That statement itself doesn't do it. I mean, another statement, yeah. He's trying to. If you reflect upon the concept of something that didn't begin to exist, but it was doesn't have a beginning. Yeah, so there was no beginning to his existence. Then by definition, it doesn't have a cause because it's eternal, right?
Right. That's what I think. There is a
Yeah.
hidden assumption. In a sense, it's not quite out there, but it's just like it's kind of seems to be embedded very
Well,
what do you call
yeah, he's
But I
trying to.
think
subtly into
that's how
the
all arguments work, Philo.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there's a general argument that every philosophical argument begs the question. It's just that
Yeah.
whether we can see the premise, whether we can see the conclusion in premise or not, is a matter of how it's framed.
Right. All right. Shall we play the
Yeah,
clip further?
I just wanted to point out that, as Mahdin pointed out, that the case of simultaneous causation is even more problematic than the case of iron bar, because we know many things about the case of iron bar. We know many
Hmm.
variables. We know about its atomic structure. We know about the laws of physics. But in the case of in the case of simultaneous causation, we know nothing about the beginning of the universe. So that's actually more
Exactly.
problematic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Plus,
Absolutely. So
plus, if,
even,
Right.
plus, if we want to appeal to simultaneous causation, then wouldn't it be special pleading, since it's the only one? It's only at that one instant that we are appealing to it.
yes. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, and plus, why should we go with simultaneous causation when there are other live hypotheses available, like the multiverse or the naturalistic singularity, or even the divine simplicity God, which is co-eternal with creation, for example.
Yeah, so let me just say something on that maybe other people haven't mentioned. So I mean, the weakest part of William Lane Craig's case is when he makes the inference to mind. So he says, all of time, space, and matter came into existence. He then quickly makes the argument that since time, space, and matter didn't exist, something non-spatial, non-temporal must have created the universe. And then he makes the argument that the only couple of things that we know that are non-temporal and non-spatial is abstract objects like numbers, like the laws of logic, and so on, and minds like our minds with desires and preferences. And then he makes the argument that since abstract objects cannot cause anything, they're causally inert. Therefore, the only other option, it's almost like a deductive argument. It's one or the other. If it can't be abstract objects, therefore, by definition, it must be a mind. right? So I just want to quickly touch upon that. And the reason I'm steel manning it like that, I don't want any audience members to say that we've not represented the other side of the case properly, you know? So henceforth, even when Abbas said stuff about, conceivability, problems with conceivability, I echoed the theist's case first, and then I debunked it, and then Abbas strengthened it, just as he did now, in the sense that beyond the universe, it's even worse, because we don't know what rules might apply. But exactly. So I wanted to strengthen William Lane Craig's case here. Why he's making the inference to a mind is because an abstract object can't cause anything, and therefore, because the only two things that we know that are non-spatial, non-physical, and etc. is abstract objects and minds. Here's the problem, and it kind of echoes what Abbas said as well. It's a continuation of what we've already said. How do we know those are the only two possibilities? And Daniel Dennett makes the same argument as well when he had a debate with William Lane Craig. How do we know those are the only two possibilities? It's not like a real true dichotomy. We only have these dichotomies because of our limited knowledge. In other words, it might be a hazy generalization fallacy. Why are we going from our limited sample of empirical knowledge that we observed in this limited tiny part of speck of the universe here on planet Earth, where we know that the possibly the only other candidate for a non-temporal, non-spatial object is our minds. Let's hypothetically assume our minds are non-spatial, non-physical, whatever. Let's just give the theist that the only entity that we know that is non-physical is our minds. Yeah, let's accept that. Even then, isn't that a very tiny, small sample of the observable universe? How do we know that's the only non-physical object? There might be many other non-physical objects that have causal powers apart from minds. So when William Lane Craig makes the dichotomy that it can either be numbers, abstract objects like numbers, or minds, because those are the only two things we know, he's making a false generalization fallacy. Yeah, he's not explored the entirety of the universe and beyond, where there could be many other immaterial, non-physical objects that can have causal powers, like quote unquote our minds, right? Because we've assumed right now our minds are actually non-physical. And therefore, this is a very, very massive extrapolation from poor data. We cannot make that inference. And it's very similar to making the following argument. You see two men, and you see they like to eat curry. Therefore, you make the generalization that all men like to eat curry. Well, you've only seen two men. Similarly, we've only seen one tiny area of the universe. And now we're talking about things beyond the universe, excluding the possibility of all and every other type of non-physical object that can cause things. So even if we concede that a non-physical object has to cause something, to argue that is either a mind or a number is just wrong.
Agreed with you there, Madan. So basically, you're saying using an inductive argument for a premise that is deductive argument, pretty much, right? In a sense, for a deductive argument premise, right? And inductive in this sense would be saying that only with a little sample we have understood the whole universe, pretty much, right?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, what he's doing is he's trying to give a deductive sort of argument by definition.
Right.
One or the other, it has to be or something like that. But it's not true. It's a false dichotomy, right?
It's a false dichotomy, right?
Yeah. And the false dichotomy is created precisely because he ignores all the other undiscovered possibilities that might lay out there, even within the universe. Is there within the universe other non-physical entities? If we admit our minds are finite, our minds are non-physical, then he's saying the only other, apart from numbers, non-physical object that can cause things, unlike numbers, which can't cause anything, is minds. And therefore, he deduces, the best explanation is a mind that created. But why should we assume that?
Could there be a possible universe where numbers could have a causative power?
I don't know.
But I think the Neoplatonics believe that the abstract, the one, what they call it, the one, it caused the
abstract the
universe.
one, right? So
I
abstract
think Eric
things can
Steinhardt
have
is one such
positive powers,
Neoplatonic
right?
atheist.
Right. That's what it is, right? I'm just trying to turn around the ontological argument on them, pretty much, right? Or the modal argument, pretty much, modal logic on them, pretty much, right?
Even if we grant that the first cause has mind, the gap problem still
Right.
remains. That why
Right.
did the first cause has to have omnibenevolence or
Yeah,
omniscience, for example?
Right.
That is the
Right.
gap problem.
that is impossible to. The gap problem is impossible to resolve. I think it's impossible. I can't see any way they can do that. I think they try. The best argument that at least attempts close to it is an analytical argument, because every other argument will have to rely on empiricism. And the only analytical argument that tries to come close to it is the ontological argument. And we know the problems with the ontological argument already,
Yes.
Right.
So every other argument, like fine-tuning, kalam, contingency. I mean, contingency tries as well to be conceptually trying to show that it can't be dependent, has to be independent and unlimited, and therefore has to be unlimited, So it tries, so similar to the ontological argument, it tries to be purely analytical. So let me just revise that. I would put the contingency argument as well as a second attempt at trying to infer those attributes through conceptual reasoning. Every other argument, like fine-tuning, kalam, doesn't. It appeals to like fine-tuning, for example, or design arguments. They all appeal to empirical observations, and there's no reason, as Uqba said, to assume a supremely powerful being when a limited being can suffice. Yeah. Or an evil being. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
That would just be like adding more ontological commitment to our worldview.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. If you can explain something without needing to add supreme power, yeah, of course. It's like seeing an explosion and saying, well, not seeing it, seeing a match being lit, and then arguing there must have been a blast furnace, or there must have been a power plant that lit
Yes.
the. Well, why didn't? Well, no, you just need enough power to match to light the match. You don't need a power plant. Is it consistent with the power plant? Yeah, but it's consistent also with many different variations, even just a tiny lighter. So why should we assume such? Yeah.
No, I
All
would
right.
just
We
lastly
should.
like to point out that this
Sorry.
person's
Go ahead.
statement that God chose to instantiate the universe only 13.8 billion years ago. We could ask the question that why only 13.8 billion years? Why not 13.9 or 14 or 28, for example? So this sort of formulation is extremely problematic according to me.
All right.
Yeah. The theory of God doesn't really predict at all, like time, a specific sort of time. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
Right. I mean,
Suggest
you can have
that.
anything, and then that should pretty much be. But yeah, I mean, you can't even you can't criticize as well. I think so. I mean, they'll.
By the way, did you guys realize that Kylie actually made an appearance?
Yes, Kali made an appearance, and I think I highlighted his comments pretty much. I think.
Okay. And
All right.
cosmic.
Shall we move on, and let's try and play one more clip probably after this, or maybe we can even finish the stream, because let's keep it short and sweet. Let's just finish it, and then what do you guys think, right?
Whatever. Yeah, I don't mind. I need to wake up in the morning early tomorrow, so perhaps it's good to keep it short. But do you want to continue this particular video? Finish the video again, just so that we can see if we've not missed it.
Let's just finish it and see if there is anything else to add on to it, right?
Material cause without any decision making or consciousness, then it had the properties to bring this universe into existence pre-eternally, but it chose to do it only 13.8 billion years ago. In other words, every domino that could have fallen from that material cause had an infinite history to have those dominoes fall, including this domino, the universe, but it came 13.8 billion years ago. So it made a decision when to bring it into existence. What?
All right, that's the thing. I think we answered pretty much beforehand, right? All the things,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
that's
mean,
already because, yeah. Go ahead,
even with the theory of a god, as Ukba has mentioned, you have to assume that the being existed eternally and then decided to create the universe 13 point billion years ago or something. It's I don't see what the point that he's trying to make. Again, this person doesn't understand the philosophical arguments he's talking about. William Lane Craig wouldn't talk about it like this. So he's doing a really bad for performance. Yeah, yeah. He doesn't really make a lot of sense,
I
right?
think
Like,
the problem is not. Sorry,
Mhm.
Madhav, we're getting a feedback from your side. The problem with Muslim apologists, probably bar a few, very few of them are probably philosophically as what do you call savvy as most of the Christian apologists. A lot of the Christian apologists. I'm not saying most of them, but Muslim apologists have a lot of catch up to do here, basically. And these guys, especially these Dawa guys, and that's why I chose these clips, because they seem to be out of sorts pretty much in most of their arguments. And what makes me wonder is there's nobody to point finger at them, even at the speaker's corner. How come so? I think somebody will have to take care of maybe they're too afraid to go there. I don't know what the uh, you know what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
issue
It's
might be
almost
there.
like they have a rehearsed understanding, and their team leader is also a person who is maybe like an undergraduate level understanding of these concepts, maybe less. So they don't really study philosophy in the schools. They don't really read the books as much. This kind of selective reading, and they're probably not very talented at it, right? They're not very talented at it. So that is an issue
And
as well. Yeah.
right, and at the same time, they're able to fool so many people. So that's what makes me wonder as to what's happening at Speaker's Corner. It's supposed to be the premium, what do you call, premium most place where these kind of deep philosophical, intellectual arguments happen, and some
I
of them
highly
kind of.
I highly doubt it's premium.
I
It's
mean, so it appears to outsiders, maybe, and you know it better than most of us, pretty much, because we don't live, uh, you know, anywhere near the Europe, pretty much, right? We, the subcontinent people, think so highly of Speaker's Corner, pretty much.
Yeah, I think you're right in the sense that it's a free environment where people can come and talk. In terms of quality of argumentation and substance and academic hygiene and expertise and actual intellectual strength of one's arguments, like intelligence. No, not necessarily, because every people from all walks of life go there, all levels of education, right, with all levels of familiarity. So it's good in the sense that it's an atmosphere of lively, strong, powerful debate and conversation, but not necessarily at the level of like and quality of intelligence that maybe an academic would assume to have. I mean, no. If you're there with a PhD, let's say if you walk in there with a PhD in cosmology, well, you're going to probably be head over everybody there, right? Almost everybody who's talking about physics. The same person in a university setting with other cosmologists or even cosmology students, that would be a better conversation, right? But in a park full of people who have come from different professions and backgrounds with no familiarity with cosmology, no, I don't think the level of quality and intelligence is apt.
Yeah, I would agree with
I
Madhi.
agree.
And I
Agree.
think the reason why philosophical atheists don't debate with these guys is because even those of them who are educated in philosophy, even those people are not willing to engage in a respectful and an honest discussion. For example, take the example of debate between Air Fraser and Muhammad Hijab. The way he was behaving, he was looking just for sound bites so that he can put it on social media and beat his chest that way, I won. He was not, his intention was not to have an honest discussion. For example, when Fraser pointed out the anomalies in his privation theory of evil, and he just restated his position, he didn't try to defend it because he only, I think he only learned it or rehearsed it in a sort. and he didn't have any answer to it. So that's the point. If it had been an honest an honest interlocutor, he would have acknowledged the point or tried to think about it more honestly.
Absolutely, yeah. He was there for a
Right,
show.
right.
Very obvious he was there for a show. He was there to scream and shout and create the impression of victory.
It's a grandstand. Yeah, pretty much.
If he was genuinely interested in it, I mean, he could have followed up with a written response, and we would have seen a written exchange. Yeah, that would have been interesting to read at the very minimum. That's what I would have done if I was hijab, and let's say there was no time to respond. Let's say I made an excuse up that I just didn't have the time, and the hosts and everything, they had to move things along, never got to finish. I would go home and write a response, and we'd have a written exchange. That's how it would go. Or maybe set up another debate where we can have a real conversation. But it seems as though hijab has this bag of tricks. He wants contracts being signed. He has to be videoed. It has to occur amongst an audience or whatever. He's got this. It's a very, very, very politicized mission, and you can't have real philosophy in addition to politics. If he's a hijab ultimately is an apologist for Islam, and therefore he's got a political bias. You can't have philosophy like that.
I think Hamza is more honest than hijab because he changed his position over scientific miracles in Quran. So in that sense, he's somewhat more humble and more honest in an attempt.
I think you don't know the whole story of his shelving away with the miracles in the Quran thing. It was probably it went on for about 5-6 years or so before he shelved that. Pretty much, there were quite a few guys who were instrumental in doing that. Probably Madan and I were part of it as well. Even if a tiny little bit part, I think Madan would remember that, right, Madan?
Yeah. Which part are you thinking about? Sorry.
I'm talking about Hamza's shelving away of those miracles in the Quran, pretty much. Scientific miracles in the Quran. You remember there was a paper written by one of our friends, a known person. What's his name? I forgot his name. Huh?
Captain Disguise.
Captain Disguise, but his name was Bilal Anwar, right?
Yeah.
And he wrote a paper, and that was probably the point which tilted this. And there were quite a few things that happened even before that. That Myers case, what's his name?
PZ Myers?
PZ Myers, right? PZ Myers case and all those things that happened. And we used to go to his Facebook and used to pound him on all these scientific miracles thing. Well, there were quite a few guys. I think we probably were a small cog in this whole thing after that. But I think these guys, even both of them, probably are deceptive in a sense. Maybe you think that Hamza is a little bit more honest. Probably might be so, but I don't think so from their last debate there.
Yeah. So during the time where 2012, 2013 or something, or between 2010 and 2013, maybe 14, Hamza was under immense pressure from multiple atheists and agnostics who took apart his paper, who challenged him on the scientific miracles, who made objections regarding the availability of thinkers and Greek and Roman influenced people who had known certain things, known certain quote unquote scientific knowledge prior to the Prophet Muhammad. And he tried to kind of modify the premises or find at least some exceptional feats, and he tried to defend that as that. So he came to the realization, it seemed, that all the other general scientific miracles can be counted, but what about stuff like embryology? What about mountain roots or something? And he quickly dropped mountain roots, and he started writing a paper on embryology. And I think he genuinely believed at some point this is correct, right? He thought this was
for a long time. He believed that all this was correct, and then when these we were persistent. Not we, as in I'm saying we as in the most of these atheists and agnostics groups who knew and who understood Arabic as well as anybody could, pretty much, right? And
Even
they
in his
pointed
debate
out
with
at all these flaws, right? There was
even in
another
his
guy. Sorry.
even in his debate with Professor Hoodboy, he tried to pull things like M theory. He tried to use this word buzzwords, and Professor Hoodboy, I think I should not use this
He
word,
pointed out that,
insulted him brutally.
oh boy, if you know all these things, just maybe write the field equation,
Yes,
something
yes,
like that.
yes,
He
that
asked,
one.
right. So yeah, I mean, they were throwing out these things without thinking. That there was another guy who was instrumental in that, and not instrumental, but part of this thing was the rationalizer. I forgot his name, but maybe Pete or something. Madan would remember, right?
Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what Hamza was doing is that he tried to give like one last attempt of a battle through trying to publish his paper, but it came under a string of attacks where he realized simply that the arguments are not in favor of him, and it simply led him to make a formal admission. Now I don't know what motivated that, because here's the thing: like this person, one of our somebody Zipzap has written, that we're being a bit naive to think that Hamza was genuine. But
No,
of
I
course,
never said that. I in fact countered that. I said no, Hamza
I
is
think
not genuine. And then,
he's
yeah,
genuine relative to hijab.
yeah, I
yeah,
think probably
relatively genuine.
in maybe a comparison to that, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm
but the
saying.
reason
That
the reason there's more of a case to be made for his genuineness is because when he published this paper and it came under a string of attacks, he did try to modify it. He did try to strengthen it, but eventually, when it hit so many missiles struck it to damage it almost irreversibly, he was almost arm twisted and forced backed into a corner to openly admit that his project of trying to show that there was a knowledge about embryology predating modern day understandings of not cosmology, embryology, knowledge of embryology predating today's understanding of embryology within the Quran. He had to just forcibly concede that no, that's wrong. Now, what motivated that? Was it just public shame and humiliation? Well, if he was completely disingenuous, I'm sure he could have just continued to rattle on about it, because for everything else, he's also faced really strong arguments. He's faced strong arguments from other quarters for everything else as well, for like Kalam cosmological argument, fine tuning argument, but those rely on abstract conceptual things that maybe he just genuinely feels persuaded by. You get it? Whereas when it comes to the scientific miracles, he seemed to have revised his thoughts. So this makes me think he, at the very minimum, he may have had enough genuineness to think that his arguments had power or weight. Maybe a little bit of disingenuousness, but when it came under fire and he saw the flaws, he could no longer continue. It could also be, in theory, that he was completely intellectually dishonest. He knew right from the beginning that his arguments were flawed. He just tried to go down that route. But when he saw that lots of Muslims were no longer persuaded by it, in other words, although he was being disingenuous, the embryology paper came under fire. Lots of Muslims emailed him and messaged him saying, I'm having trouble reconciling the scientific miracles argument. I'm finding trouble defending it. There's too many holes. He thought, you know what? Politically speaking, we need to abandon this project, admit this is a loser's game, and move on to something else. So yeah, there's a theory to say that he was intellectually dishonest, but I don't think it's obvious. Clearly, he's made an admission, when we have to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, that the reason he did that was because he came to realize that he couldn't defend it any longer when he came across good opposition.
Yeah, I think that might be the case. I think this was a strategic shift from that, scientific miracles in the Quran to, just abandoning them. That they realized that if given that some of these scientific things do change, and as science is always in flux, and a theory might be, upgraded or changed or, even jettisoned, pretty much, in a sense, right? they realized this would throw them in a really bad light. So to prevent themselves from these sort of problems, I think they swiftly moved away from it and then said, okay, whatever is whatever the science says and is true in the Quran, we say it confirms, and then whatever it does not, we think we don't know, understand it all that clearly. So I thought that was a pretty strategic move from that point on. But you might be right that his jettisoning that argument, scientific miracles, was probably a genuine admission. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Zipsab's written another comment regarding. Yeah, Zipsab, we know this very well. We know this very well that Hamza has plagiarized William Lane Craig. The thing is, if you're trying to link that with his intellectual dishonesty, I'm not sure, because you can take from other people and just not credit it to that person, but not be. You can still be genuinely. What I'm trying to say is that he could have been genuinely convinced by his arguments, right? So at best, he was academically dishonest. Academically dishonest in the sense he didn't cite or reference the original author for his contributions. He just took and lifted. Having said that, do you think Hamza's sources, to be actually dishonest, Hamza's sources has to be completely subjectively aware of the flaws of his arguments, but just ignore it? And I don't think we can make that argument, because why should that be the case? There are plenty of people out there who can rationalize, right? Who can convince themselves something is correct through emotion. And people probably have a better, easier time doing that when it comes to philosophy, because you can make a lot of stuff up on philosophy and make it sound legitimate, and not realize that, in fact, this is just a reflection of your biases, your prejudices, right? So I'm not 100% sure that you can say Hamza is the type of person who knows his arguments are completely flawed, right? Yet, in order to save his business, maybe save his convictions, he's putting on a front. My point is, we have to be agnostic, really, about that, truthfully speaking, because there's nothing obvious that suggests that he's actually been intellectually dishonest in that manner. Because people can hold all sorts of weird rationalizations in their brain.
No, I
the
agree
better
with
word would
you
be
on that.
he
Yeah.
is intellectually ignorant, because they
Yeah.
because they don't accept any sort of objections to their argument, even if they are valid and sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, possible. Right. All right. Let's. What I have done, Madan, is maybe I'll post the link, and let's see if somebody wants to join and talk for a minute or 2 or 5. Say something about the topic in general. Anything. Ask us anything, and then we'll close the stream. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think we should wait if someone wants to come.
Madan?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I've posted the link, and anybody who wants to join, come talk to us. Whatever you want to talk about. If you have any points with respect to this particular video or short clip that we ran, or any of the arguments that we presented, maybe if you have a problem with that, maybe point us what the problem is, or in general, if you have any other question, do join us and maybe we can have a chat. And other than that, we don't have much. What we're going to do is we're going to wait for another minute or two, and if somebody joins in, we're going to talk for a few minutes. Otherwise,
Yeah,
we're going to close the stream.
Give us 60 seconds, really. Give it 60 seconds. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And during that 60 seconds, what I'm going to do is run our usual thing. If you guys like, I'm not going to say if you like the stream. I would say if you're listening to us right now, you probably joined because you like us, right? As a channel, right? And you like the host on this channel pretty much, right? I think we have tremendous hosts. I mean, I can say it without any doubt. shadow of a doubt that there is no, and I'm pretty sure that Madan and Ugba both are gonna agree with that. There's no other channel in the subcontinent, at least, and even in English, that kind of brings these kind of deeper philosophical arguments against, some of the arguments of our opponents, pretty much, right? So that's what I would say, that like, subscribe, and share to as many as you can, pretty much. And once the stream is over, maybe put a comment under the video or stream, and say what you would like us to bring next. Maybe a video you want us to refute, or something else that you found a problem in our arguments or anything, or even in Abbas's arguments, pretty much, something that you think we missed, probably, right? So do that. And I don't think, Madan, there's anybody, if you want to add anything on top of
No,
what I said, or
no, it's absolutely fine. I think going forward we may split the Urdu and Hindi channel perhaps into two from our English. So we may end up with a new channel. So maybe if people are looking forward to English streams, maybe you may find eventually we would we have somebody here. We got a cosmic here.
we have Cosmic here. Cosmic, you, I think, dropped out, or you probably read that, you know, that I opened the stream only for Uba, but then I took you because I thought you would add something of real value to, because you're interested in this science very much, right? And especially the cosmology, right?
Sorry, I had to jump out. First of all, hi everyone. I had to jump out because I had a small task to complete with a friend, so I had to leave. I really wanted to contribute back then. But I have
All
been
right, go
listening to
ahead. If
most
you
of the
have any
stream in
points
the
to make.
background. There are two points, I think. Near the end of the stream, you guys were talking about how Speaker's Corner doesn't seem to show the biggest intellectual heavyweights, right? Whereas you might expect to see that. There's a perspective I wanted to share on that. So most of the clips that you see coming out from these channels, most of the clips you see from Corner come out from these Islamic channels, and of course there's going to be a great deal of selection bias there. So if they've
Yeah,
ever
that's
had
a
a
that's a good
conversation,
point.
yeah, if they've ever had a conversation which went 50-50, or even if it went 60-40, where they had to contend a lot of points with someone who's knowledgeable about science or philosophy, they're never going to upload that clip. And the
I
people
agree with
going
that.
to Speaker's Corner, of course, most of them will not be coming with a whole camera crew or anything. They'd just trust that these guys would upload the clip if there's been a good conversation. So there's that. There's a huge amount of selection bias with regards to the Speaker's Corner conversations. And then the second part, I think, at the start of this stream, there was some discussion about how someone assumed, because the universe seems very vast, complicated, detailed, and a couple other things, that the creator of this universe must be very powerful. So that's even from a scientific or mathematical perspective, thinking about the creator of a system, making assumptions about the creator of an environment based on the environment may not be how do I say this, accurate. So
A
the
good
example
idea.
I
I
want,
mean, it might not
yeah,
really follow from
yeah,
that, right?
exactly. If you try to use the attributes of that environment to try to gauge what the attributes of the creator would be. So a great example of this is that there's a game. It's called Conway's Game of Life. I'm maybe you guys have heard of it, maybe you haven't. But the game is basically like this sort of mathematical simulation, which starts off with very simple tools. I don't remember the exact rules, but there's something like, if there's two cells, live cells next to each other, then they reproduce. If there's three, one of them dies. I'm not getting the rules right, but I mean, there's like 3 or 4 rules. But if you keep the game going on for a couple generations, you start to see these very complicated entities emerge. You'll see some things that resemble spaceships. you will start to see breeders, you'll start to see replicators, you'll start to see like a whole host of complicated things. So if you take a look at that game after 20 or 30 generations, you might sit down and think, the creator of this model must have intricately planned out all of these different creatures, and but you'd be wrong. The person who created it had some very simple rules in mind, and then the complexity of that system far outpaced anything he had envisioned for the system. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about it.
Right.
That's the same. Yeah, that's the I think they're called genetic algorithms as well. Computational simulations which resemble natural selection. There's plenty of them. I think a lot of computer scientists or programmers, are very much more in tune with, and actually solve many problems, logistical problems that they themselves cannot solve with the power of their brain, but the random chance, when added as a variable in these simulations, can help stumble across a solution to a problem. And it's amazing. And that's kind of the point that I was making at the beginning of the stream, when you can start off with very simple rules, and turn into a domino effect. And I gave the example of evolution as a model, because evolution, even if somebody dismisses evolution, you can appeal to what Cosmic has mentioned is actual computer simulations showing you can go from simplicity to complexity, and you can watch this in real time. But evolution is that. Evolution is a demonstration of that. Natural selection is a demonstration of that, and going from cells to multicellular organisms and so on. This is indeed possible, and exactly what you're saying there is correct. I mean, the beginning of the universe could have been created with very simple energy, and the being, if there has to be a being, could be very simple in that regard. And then the remainder of the universe could have come through trial and error events. And we do have an established precedent from experience, which enables us to have the least amount of ontological commitments, where because we've actually got a familiar example of just that. The entire universe seems to operate like that, where from very simple rules you get more complex rules. So even if you have like a calm cosmological argument for the beginning of the universe, an atheist or agnostic can still talk about the remainder of the universe, where we see kind of divine silence in the processes, which is evidence of the entire universe is evidence of going from simplicity to complex structures. Therefore, all the Kalam cosmological argument, or even stuff like fine-tuning argument, can establish maybe is some degree of tinkering, some degree of input at the beginning of the universe, especially for Kalam. But that's it. It's silent. Kalam doesn't get you anywhere else after the first cause. So the first cause can just be simple, and there's plenty of evidence suggesting it can do, from physics, from what Cosmic said, from the observation of the universe, where it shows there seems to be divine silence. Every single cause is a impersonal physical cause that occurs mechanically on its own, and it's working through what seems to be trial and error processes. For example, the creation of this solar system was a product of many random stars breaking up and just getting destroyed, and eventually, given the number of stars, there was one star that allowed for these Goldilocks regions. So you can explain it like that. So at best, Kalam just establishes that initial fire to allow these rules to come into existence. But then the rules can just independently work on its own. So there's no reason for any further intelligence, further planning and deliberation required. You need a lot more work and a lot more argument than what these people have said in the video.
Plus, I think that appealing to this sort of phenomenological experiences is entirely subjective. Since, for example, I can observe the randomness of the universe and conclude that there's a random cause of the universe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because just like fine-tuning argument, it's a two-edged sword. Because
Yeah,
it
double-edged
means that
sword,
God has
right?
a very
Yeah.
restricted set of restricted set of constants to allow for the probability of life, and the probability of life is extremely low. It shouldn't have been low if there's a personal God with intention which wanted to create life.
Right.
We
This
should
this
we should
this
be
is
seeing more
this is
life.
an argument that Sean Carroll makes pretty much, right?
Yes,
I mean,
life
with
should be
all that
abundant in the
has been
universe if
said,
there's an
yeah, yeah,
intentional cause of the universe.
right. I mean, it's yeah, as you said, it's a double-edged sword. Uh, I think that point that I wanted to make has gone well past time. But we have someone, Mahadan. I just wanted to say, well, obviously wrote something. Bunch of confused Pakistanis trying to preach BS. So well, obviously, I would like to point out that we are all from the subcontinent. Some of us are from Bangladesh, some of us are from Pakistan, some of us are from India. So, well, if you think that we are confused, perfectly fine. Come and, you know, make us less confused, pretty much, if you want, basically. And we have Rustam Shah. Hello, Rustam. How are you? If you want, please do join. I wasn't able to see your previous comments. Maybe I missed. I don't think was able to see any of your comments. No, I don't think so. So something weird must have happened here. All right, we have one more comment from, well, obviously, has anyone of you studied logic or written a complex computer programs like the ones written in DSP for guided missiles, etc.? What does it have to do with
Yes, why is this even a requirement to talk about religion or philosophy?
yeah, why is it even a
Even
requirement,
Prophet Muhammad
basically?
didn't knew about the grafting case. Do
Yeah,
you guys
I mean,
remember?
he didn't know about drafting case, right? And so much loss of, you know, their livelihood, right? Their livelihood depended on it pretty much, right?
Yes.
I've spoken to this well, obviously, person online, and he's not really responded to anything that I've said. So he's a bit of a troll, really. You know.
Right. He's
So
commented on a few. Yeah,
he's
he's commented on one of the streams, probably, or a few different streams.
meaningless, empty existence of a life. He's clearly his God hasn't really helped him in that regard. So he spends time listening to people that he hates. It seems as though. Well, I've called him out multiple occasions to come and debate if he
Bro,
wants to.
Madan, I think my approach is to let him come in if he wants to talk. And you are right in whatever you have said, but I'll still be hopeful that he genuinely joins in and genuinely shows us that okay, we are wrong, and I think we'll be the first one to say that okay, we are wrong, we take it back, and we need to better ourselves, basically, right? In terms of even if we are wrong in our logic or even in our conclusions, pretty much, right? I think all four of us can vouch for that, and Kali as well as our another host, pretty much, right? So he has a golden opportunity to come here and basically school us. All right. Good. Thanks for these comments. Hey, why are you going only after Pakistanis? As I said, we are all from different parts. We make a whole subcontinent, pre-partition India, if you want to say it that way, pretty much, right? Right. we have cosmics rebuttal to well, obviously. All right. It's about logic, Rustam. All right. I think well, obviously you have a chance. I think we are gonna have a, if you haven't seen our conversations with our previous guests, we have always had cordial conversations, no matter who has come on and joined and talked to us. So if you want, you can
Let
come.
me put a caveat though. Let me put a caveat. If somebody doesn't speak cordially, then I don't mind getting my hands dirty a little bit. You know.
I think Mahadan is right up there. I mean, Mahadan, I have to say, Mahadan, when he's in that mode, you just can't beat him, pretty much. But so yeah, but as long as I'm here, I'll make sure that Mahadan stays in that limit, pretty much, right?
I think Madin, you should learn some curse words from Urdu. It would be really funny to listen.
Sorry, say that
to
again.
the British accent.
So by saying that you should learn a few curse words in Urdu, pretty much.
Oh, I
Urdu,
see.
Hindi curse words, pretty much, right?
Or if the
Urdu
debate's in
curse words in a British accent.
anything, unfortunately. If you have to debate in Urdu, I can't do much.
Yeah, I think. Well, obviously, you're more than welcome, buddy. I mean, it's perfectly fine to come and have a cordial conversation, and no one is gonna. We're gonna give you enough time to put your point if you want to. All right, that's great. You're saying you're from Central UP. You're perfectly fine. Doesn't matter where you're from, and I don't know. I mean, how many invitations can I, give you to join us? If not, then we're gonna probably close in 60 seconds, right?
What is he saying here?
Or he's saying he knows how to. What do you call? I can't even translate this. It is like a pure Hindi Urdu thing.
It's like how he wants to
He's
say that he knows how to teach you a lesson.
yeah, he knows how to teach you a lesson, basically.
Oh, sounds very scary and intimidating from behind the screen. Typing behind the keyboard. Do you know, like sometimes when people pretend to want to fight, but they don't actually fight? You know what I mean? It happens in high
Right.
school.
There is a saying in Hindi Urdu for that. गरजने वाले बादल बरसते
Yes.
नहीं, ऐसा है, right?
Yes.
Hold me back. Hold me back. I'm gonna get into a fight, but hold me. Don't let me
Yeah,
go.
hold me back, right?
That's what's going on here.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
if-
obviously, you have lost all credibility. Basically, all I can say is, if you had a point, you would have. I think even in our conversations within the comment section, you didn't present a single argument to defeat our point. If you had any point, what you would have done is, presented the arguments instead of, using ad hominem as your main tool, pretty much, right? So whilst I'm pretty mellow, pretty soft, I'm really disappointed in you, pretty much, right? Because you seem to be one of those trolls who's never gonna join, basically. And I think you asked me to go to Amir Haq's channel, Yasser Wajdi's channel, and who else? Kaisar Ahmad Raja's channel. I've been to their channels umpteenth of times, and I don't mind going and having conversations.
I
But
think
if you have the gall, you're more than welcome to come here.
it's all right. It's probably a little boy who lives with his parents or something. He can't come on right now. You know.
Yeah.
guys like these are a little insecure. They are afraid that their worldview might get shaken if they think about our arguments, for example. So they would hide behind, for example, Mufti or Amir Haq, taking name behind the names of their apologists.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he wouldn't be on here. You mentioned if I don't know this particular person, but if you're saying he's been on comments before, comments in the comment section before, and now he's watching this particular video, I think some part of him is unconvinced by the arguments that Mufti or Kaisar or Amir present. Definitely,
He's
maybe
really
just 5%.
unsettled. He's really unsettled in his mind, and he's in what do you call the last death rites, pretty much. He's going through those.
Yeah, I mean, for you guys who don't know, this person has been going back and forth with some of us on the comment threads. He's been saying some of the same things. That's why I'm a bit more provocative with him. But to be honest, we can start at scratch. We can have a humble, nice, comfortable, sensible conversation. No offenses. If we shake hands and start from afresh and agree to just treat each other compassionately and sensibly, I don't mind that. But he doesn't want to do that. And as long as he doesn't want to do that, fine. You will get a very, very provocative version of me. Right?
And also, Yeah,
And
Madhav,
people,
one more thing is that
no, I can be
sorry, go
extremely, yeah. So why go down that route? There's no need for it. It's energy consuming.
right, right.
So here he is saying, yes, in our garage, my mom. Do you have a problem? You don't want me to answer that.
Right,
So
right.
I'll make a request, a humble request, to start fresh and nicely, and then we can have a good conversation one day. I mean, right now it's getting a bit late here. It's getting to 11 o'clock. But obviously, I've asked you to come on before and have a debate with me. It could be just me. It could just be two people, whatever, and we can have a nice conversation. Cordial conversation. If you want to look in the past, we've actually had conversation with Muslims, and we completely respected him from beginning to end. And he went a happy man. Remember, at the end, he was very happy to talk to us. It was the least controversial conversation. So we can have a really good conversation, or it can be a really, really horrible conversation. It's up to you.
See, Madhav, the problem is, I'm getting a feedback, Madhav. You might need to mute. Yeah. So the problem is, no matter who goes to their channels, there's, which side is always going to win. And the conversations are always about winning or losing. There's no point where you have a conversation just to find out what is true, basically, right? And that's the thing, right? And always happens, listen to hundreds of hijabs, debates, or how many ever he has done so far. His fanboys are always going to think that hijab has won. Doesn't matter what happened in the debate. Doesn't matter, he was trashed pretty much, beaten black and blue pretty much, right? So this is the kind of mentality these guys are. Probably they are on, teenagers who still in their minds think that, our worldview is so rosy and so good and so strongly supporting that nobody can shake it up pretty much. Okay.
Yeah, and
Well,
a couple
obviously
of
he's here.
oh, okay, okay.
Well, obviously he's here. Hello, welcome to.
Yes, sir,
Well,
guys, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can
yes,
hear
please.
you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so ये गोरे को बहुत गर्मी चढ़ी ना पहले तो उससे बात कर लेते हैं. Just tell him what he's going to teach me. गोरा या देसी है जो गोरे ठंड में से, just tell him what does he want? I mean, why he's trying to what he's trying to do.
All right. Who are you talking about?
Madhav.
Madhav,
I don't know,
you're
one
talking
of this
about?
guy who was trying to teach me or who was trying to deal with me.
All right. You want to have a cordial conversation?
No, I'm having a cordial conversation when I went through, right? This guy started, oh, I know these guys, oh, they live here, they do that. And what bullshit. That's the problem with you guys, right? You are, I mean, I don't know, maybe some self-entitled Pakistanis from rich families, right, who have never seen the life, right? They just come out and now you're trying to go against the system that brought you up. You're a bunch of rebels, right? Who have never seen the life that they
I don't think. I think you.
Wait a minute. Well, listen. Why are you shaking? Why are you crying? I can hear you crying.
I'm not crying because
Stop it. Stop it. Relax. Calm down. Chill out. Bloody hell.
To answer your
Have you
point,
got a psychological problem? Have you got a
wasn't
psychological
Prophet Muhammad the rebel himself?
psychological problem?
hey, listen to you. Can you leave Prophet Muhammad out of it? Just let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about what you guys just bullshit about here, right? So let's keep religion out of it, right? You guys talking about.
This is my stream. Listen. This is my stream. We told you we'll have a cordial conversation with you if you come on.
I don't know who you are.
Stop talking like
right?
an idiot. What is this?
I don't know who you are. Listen.
You got an inferiority complex, and you're coming up to me and calling me an inferiority, calling us an inferiority.
Listen. You can't.
I live my life well. What the heck are you doing? Listening to people on the stream who you hate. Stop it. Get out of your mom's garage. Get out of your mom's garage.
All right. Can I intervene? Madhav,
No, you can't.
can I intervene? Just
No.
be a referee.
This is.
I even do not know who the heck you are. I only know this guy, philosophy and all those, because at Mufti Sahib's stream, he gets kicked all the time. And Abbas Haki gets kicked all the time. right? So I don't know
Philo,
who
take
you
cosmic
are,
on stage,
right?
please.
Yeah.
So
Hold on,
that's where
Well, obviously.
that's
Hold
where
on,
I
hold
come.
on.
Can you listen to me? Let me complete,
No,
please. Okay, and
just
then you can say, I'll
pointing
go
one
quiet
thing.
for
I
a
haven't.
second.
Talk to us,
Look, listen
talk
to
to
me.
us respectfully.
Listen to me.
Talk to us respectfully, or we're not
Yeah,
going to listen. We're not going to listen.
yeah. So
Respectfully, yeah? From now on, respectfully. From now on,
I'm
respectfully. Talk properly.
Hey,
Talk
you
properly.
cannot tell.
Talk properly, because
Hey,
look,
listen,
look, in real life,
you cannot tell
in
me.
real life, you would not be
You
talking like
cannot
that.
tell
In
me
real
what
life,
to
you would not be talking
Madan,
like that.
let him finish his point.
I'm not swearing any.
Let
I'm
him
not
finish his
swearing. I'm
point.
not
Be
cursing,
quiet.
right? I'm
Be
just
quiet.
laying out the facts.
Shut up. Shut the
I'm
heck up.
laying out the facts.
All right,
I'm
talk
laying
properly,
out.
talk cleanly, talk with
अबे
respect.
चूतिए के औलाद चुप कर ना बेंचो.
Don't make accusations. Yeah, you don't know anything. Yeah, there we go. He's gone.
He's gone. Okay.
So
He
I
cursed
know
a
that
little
was a
bit.
bit different
Yeah.
from my approach, but he needed that. He needed that treatment. I'm sorry, you don't come along and you just go like that. You know, these people, they think they're too, they can get away with it because they make threats to other people and so on, and they think everyone else, like liberal Muslims, we're quite soft-natured, or liberal ex-Muslims, sorry, we're very nice and we treat people well. Well, you're not going to be able to get away with it when it comes with me. I'm not going to let people get away with that.
No, I think I would have wanted him to talk, say whatever he wanted to, and then at least get to the point and bring the arguments, right? Whatever he thought that the arguments were lacking, right? Get to the arguments. That's the point. I think we are here to discuss, pretty much,
Yeah.
right?
He himself said that
And
he
if
didn't
he
know
thinks,
who we are.
I mean, I've asked him at least point to the problems. I think last time I was at Mufti's stream, I raised 2 points, and Mufti Yasir Nadeem Al-Wajidi didn't answer to those 2 points at all.
Yeah.
And
Look,
I'm willing
let
to
me
talk to
respond to
him
this
right
guy.
again.
Let me just respond to him. Sorry for interrupting you. Yeah. No. Look, you need to. Well, obviously, you need to go back and look at some of our streams where we're speaking to other people, and we've never shouted. There was no anger.
He's
There was
back.
no.
He's back.
There was no insult.
Madan? Okay, let me be the arbiter, Madan, and well, obviously, right? Okay, let me be the arbiter. Let's have a nice, cordial conversation. Well, obviously, you think there were problems in our argumentation, or any point you think we didn't put out well. Point to us. Let's have a civil conversation, right?
Yeah, sure, man. That's why I started. Obviously,
So
I got to know.
can I
You started with an
for a second?
insult. You started with an insult. So what are you talking about? That's not civil.
Let's put it
Philo,
behind
can
us.
you shut this
Let's put
idiot
it
up?
behind
I
us.
mean, he has bloody. I don't know what does he think. Who is he?
You started with an
I'm
insult.
not.
Why
Look,
would
man,
you
I'm not come here. I'm not come here to talk to you. I only wanted to have a conversation with this
You can't
Philo
even
guy,
talk.
right?
You
Who
can't
you
even
are? I
talk.
just don't
Put
know.
something in your
I
mouth
don't
while
even.
you're talking.
You
Get it
know,
out.
if people like you show up on the street, I even don't fucking care who you are, right? I'm just came here to talk to this guy Philo, okay?
You just sound stupid. All right, look, you listen to me. Well, obviously, you started off with an insult. I responded with an insult back. Did you like it? No,
Can you
didn't.
shut up? Have you ever listened to anybody? Have you ever listened to anybody?
No.
Right? So to have a conversation is a two-way process, right? You listen. That's why God has given you 2 ears, so you listen, right? Don't speak. Shut your mouth up. Listen.
You're the one who started with an insult. I just responded back with an insult.
You replay this. You replay this.
You're not used to it.
like a.
You are not used to it. You are not used to it, are you? You will get rallied over. You will get intellectually emasculated. Yeah.
Come on, if you shut up, Wally, then we can have a conversation, right? Otherwise,
because you will get intellectually demolished.
Fuck you. Look at this loser.
Look at you. You're a shame on your ancestors. Your ancestors are being dug up right now by my speech.
Hey, idiot! Listen.
Be quiet. Be quiet.
No.
Be quiet, you son of.
All right. Hold on.
Hey, can you tell this motherfucker to shut up first? Philo, can you tell this motherfucker to shut up? How can you call me son of what?
I'm gonna
Bastard.
Madan, hold on.
Motherfucker.
All right.
Madan, whatever it is.
No,
This
no,
is
no,
really
no, no, not the way to,
Did you learn that from
not
the
the
English
way to do
dictionary
it.
that you bought?
I taught your
Okay,
dad,
No, shut
how to
up.
speak
hold
English,
Shut
fucking
up.
bastard.
Be quiet.
Hey,
Fuck you, bastard. Shut up.
Be quiet. We'll send you
well, obviously, Madan, no cursing. It's a request. No cursing. Well, obviously, I have removed you, but no cursing, please. Sincere request. No cursing. I don't think it's a good idea to start off like this, right? I mean, come here, have a cordial conversation.
Yes, that's why I joined, right?
Hold on,
And
no
how this
cursing,
guy,
please. No
how this
cursing.
bastard
No
started, right?
No. You do this another next time. I'm not gonna. Don't use the curse words, please. All right. Let's have a conversation. Let's engage in a dialogue. You have any point to make? Do make your point. Otherwise, you're free to leave. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's why I left. But then I heard you guys bitching around, so I came back. I'm not one who's going to take it, right? So yes, if you want to have a conversation, I mean, I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I'm just a regular lay person who has studied to enough, who has enough qualifications to understand how this world works, and who's been
All right.
around the world.
Tell us how it works,
So
basically. All right.
no, I mean nobody knows, right? So that's why my point. Why I wanted to join. I wanted to see what you guys trying to do. My question to you guys is, what are you guys trying to do? Right? That's my question to you.
All right.
I mean,
So
there's Islamophobes in India. Listen, there's Islamophobes in India. They're RSS
no, these
sponsored
are
people, they're
that's
Zionists. There's a lot of Islamophobes all around the world. But to
no.
you guys, I want
There
to know
might be.
what's your purpose.
You
Are you
might be
paid
right.
by some of
Hold
these
on.
agencies?
Hold on.
Are you?
Hold on. So,
Mhm.
see, hold on. You said certain things. I wanted to point out that your perception is wrong. That
That's what
term
I'm here to
Islamophobia
understand,
is
right?
wrong,
So
right?
please educate me, yeah? So
No,
why are you
I think
running this channel? Why are you running this Islamophobic propaganda? That's what I
no.
want to
This is not a.
understand. What's the rationale
Hold
behind
on.
it?
You've got it all wrong, man. I think. Do you know what do you mean by Islamophobe? First of all, right?
Okay, have I seen you? You get these Ben Shapiro's and all these stupids who are calling of genocide of Muslims. You support RSS. Who is calling leading genocide of Muslims
So
in
have
India,
you supported
right?
have you supported Ben Shapiro? Have you seen us supporting Ben Shapiro?
I saw the other day you had a video trying to talk about that guy and all that stuff. So I didn't. I mean, I don't have time to waste to listen to all.
Have you listened to that video? Have you supported
No, I'm not. I'm not.
anywhere? If you
I'm
point
not.
it out, you need to go back and listen to it, and then maybe
No, I
come
don't
back
have that
and
much time. Look,
apologize to us, right?
I already.
Maybe
I'm
come
not
back
going to
and apologize.
apologize, man. I got enough in my life, right? So
No,
it's
but
just that
you
sometimes.
accused us, right? You accused us that we are
Look,
supporting
let's not
Islamophobes,
start going
right?
to nitty-gritties. I hear you. I mean, let's not go into. I mean,
Nitty-gritties matter, man. Nitty-gritties matter, right?
I know. Look, I
Because
know it
you
matters.
have you heard any?
let me just interrupt you.
What
I'm
do you
not gonna.
mean by
I'm not gonna fight.
Islamophobe? First of
Oh
all,
no,
what do you
no, I'm
mean
not.
basically?
I'm not talking. I'm not talking to fight. Well, obviously, you sound very familiar.
I'm not familiar. Though I never met you. I'm very unfamiliar to you guys. I've never been anywhere. This
Are
is
you
probably
sure?
first time I'm talking live to anybody. Yes,
Okay, you sound very
this is
familiar.
first time.
I
Yeah,
know.
I might be, but it's first time I'm ever talking, and that's why I was a bit nervous when I came online, right? Because I never spoke to anybody because I don't have time to waste with you guys. I
Okay.
mean, I know, but there's so
No,
many, So that's
I
why I
don't know.
wanted to ask.
I don't know why you sound like one of my physicist friends.
No, I'm not scientist. It's just that I have engineering degree, a master's degree in business. I work around the globe for a lot of companies, Middle East, Europe, Australia, New Zealand. So I have been there around the world. I'm quite old compared to
You're
you
not playing
guys.
a prank on us, are you? You're not playing a
Huh?
prank. You're not
No,
playing a
I'm not.
prank. It's time for
No,
you
I'm
to.
not.
Yeah,
No, I'm
sure.
very serious. No, I'm very serious. Trust me.
Okay. Because you sound very familiar.
I might be because that's my tone, right? Even my face is very common. People just always recognize me as one of their friends, especially from either Bengal or from a few other places. So it's maybe that's how I am.
I'm a little bit confused by your voice. You sound like somebody that I know. I don't know if I'm right.
No. Trust
I
me,
hope.
unless you are a different person, if you tell me your real identity, I might know that person. But no, I don't think I
Yeah.
know you.
Madan, I know who you're thinking. Is that a common friend
Yeah, it is.
or
It
somebody
is.
else?
No,
Right.
it is a
I
common.
don't think that's his voice. I don't think that's his voice. Right.
Hmm.
No,
But
It
in any
sounds.
case,
but
in any case, well, obviously, let's take the conversation a little bit forward. Maybe you can drop by some other day as well. Not a problem. I
fellow.
think
So I
this
just
kind
want
of,
to understand.
I think, hold on, let me just finish. Abusing and using that kind of a language, I don't think is helpful for a conversation. And you accused us of something, right? Islamophobia. What do you mean by Islamophobia? First thing, right? Is
No,
criticizing
look,
Islam being
with
Islamophobic?
my age, using swear word is really bad, right? So I should have not done that. But the other person with Madan, he was, the way before I came in, the way he was sort of inciting me, and when I thought, okay, that's your way of inviting me to join the call. So that's fine. I joined the call. But once I was there, the guy didn't tone down. He started. I mean, I'm not the one with my age. I mean, I don't take shit
Hold
from
on. That's
anybody,
done. Then
right? So
that's done, right?
yeah.
I don't think there's a point going back and
Okay.
explaining all those things, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So coming back to
Continue.
the question, why? Look, I've been hearing, listening to your fellow. I think you joined Mufti Saab's stream, Amar Hat's stream, and I think sometimes Carl's stream. And I'll be very honest. I think your excuse, you come up with very lame excuses, lame points. Except for this last stream, I think you got very solid point where Amir Haq had to come up with something. He had made up a response. But before that, you always come back with these silly questions, which were very illogical. So I was quite keen to speak to you because you sound quite reasonable, right? And maybe quite reasonable, but slightly bit confused. Basically, you don't understand the logic very well. You studied philosophy or arts, or I don't know. So that's what I wanted to understand, talk to you.
Madan, yeah.
What you try to do, right? What's the reason? Why you running, go to different streams and trying to, what you try to do?
All right.
Like,
So,
what's your, yeah.
is it not a good idea to find out truth?
I mean, look, we all know that it's very difficult to figure out how we all came up, right? There could be two ideas in the world. There's the cyclical world where it gets created and built and everything happens. And then one is that, Big Bang happened and then something happened magically. And the third one is where the God created. Nobody can decide, right, which one of these three is probably correct. And there could be a few other options. So based on your faculties, if you have to take a pick, whether you decide that a God created, or every theory has a loopholes, right? So if you talk about Big Bang happened and everything really just happened, and everything was just perfect from epoch time to da 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 da, and then cell happened, and then somehow this thing evolved. Or God created. God created theory also has a loophole. So this Big Bang has loopholes. Cyclical has loopholes. So you have to take a pick. There's a certain probability, depending upon your experience and logic and knowledge, you'll pick one of these. And that's what I wanted to understand. Like, what have you not analyzed this? That nobody knows the right thing. You have to take a pick, right? And instead of
So
trying to convert,
can I stop you there? Well,
yeah,
obviously.
please.
So you saying you are an agnostic?
No, I'm not agnostic. I've been through this route, right? I've been
Right.
through this
So
route. I've been
how
an atheist.
do you determine which one of them favors your hypothesis rather than some other hypothesis?
Because when I studied again, like for example, the Big Bang possibility. So for
No,
me,
that's done and dusted. That
no,
doesn't give
it's
you a
not
clear
done on this.
picture.
I think no, it's
That
not.
doesn't give you a clear picture, right? That doesn't
No,
give you a
please,
clear
can
picture.
you hear me out? Can you hear me out? Right.
Sure.
So for me, to the singularity to come from somewhere, I needed to assume it's come from somewhere, or it has always been there. Right? If it has always been there, then there must have been a cause behind the trigger. Right?
What
So
do you mean by
so for
singularity?
singular. Isn't it called singularity, right? So
What is it?
idea
What
behind
is it?
it.
What is your
Nobody knows
understanding
what
of
it
it?
is. Nobody
Right.
knows what it is, right?
So,
It's
so how do
just
you know it must have come from somewhere, right? What do you mean by it?
yeah, exactly. So you need to assume if there's something exists, there's something that must come from somewhere. It cannot be always there, right?
Why can't that the same thing apply to your God?
Yeah, that's what I'm here, man. That's
No,
my
you don't
God,
need to
right?
go. No, that's the wrong route. That's the wrong route. You don't need to go there.
Right.
First of all, before we proceed, well, obviously, look, I'm willing to make amends. The reason I was very vitriolic with you is because you came along before you came here. You were making accusations to us and calling us names. You were insulting us. Yeah, you said we have inferiority complexes. That's a psychological diagnosis that you can't do from your armchair because you're not a psychologist. It's an insult, basically. That's like me saying that you are suffering from an Arab complex. And when I dish it back out at you with extreme vitriol, like I did, you can't take it. So just know the reason I was doing that is only because you were being verbally violent, right? Calling us names. What do you expect? Did you think I'm going to be like everyone else that you've talked to and we're just going to take it on the chin? Absolutely not. From where I come from, if somebody takes the mic, they get beaten up. Yeah. Now, being behind the screen is very easy. So that's the reason you've got that sort of opposition from me. I want respect. So if you respect me, I'll talk to you nicely and respectfully, and we can work together. Yeah. And I will always respect your humanity. Absolutely. Is that okay?
Okay, so let me just answer that. So where we come from, life is
No.
only
Well,
life is
obviously,
only
well,
$25. So
obviously,
if
I,
no,
well,
no, no.
obviously,
The,
I ask you something.
at my place, we just make them quiet for life, right? They're just gone. So please don't threaten me with those things. Right?
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
I didn't understand what
don't
you
worry. Philo can explain. I come from Central UP. It's a very different world there, right? So
No,
don't try to threaten me.
I'm not threatening you.
Please.
I am saying if you keep going down a personal route, then that's just different. I'm not saying I'm threatening you for no reason. Why?
Brother,
I just saying I'm
brother, can you
threatening
calm
you.
down?
I'm saying
Brother, listen.
if you
Brother,
verbally attack people, then you're going to get verbal attack back. That's all I'm trying to say.
brother, listen. You
No.
guys.
I've already said something. You need to listen to what I'm saying.
I
Why?
already listened and
No.
processed. I'm trying to.
Be simple. Be simple. Why don't you just apologize and start afresh? Say I'm sorry. Say it.
Hey, you'll have to apologize. You'll have to apologize for. Okay, listen, man.
Yeah.
Listen, can you listen to me? No, I'm not going to apologize. Apologize for what?
Why not?
Yeah, you're here. You're spreading hate and Islamophobia against 1 billion, 2 billion Muslims, and we in a daily life feel that, get the impact of that. If anybody has to apologize, it's you guys sitting there must apologize and
I'm not
shut
talking
this
about
thing
that. Wait. Look. Let's keep that separate.
You know the impact of this, impact of you hate on our personal lives. I've lived in Western world,
Well,
sometimes
listen,
we're scared to go out because of people like
obviously,
you.
stop talking.
Because of people like you.
Well, obviously, listen to me.
Alright,
You have not listen to me. Well, obviously, you have no idea. Yeah, because you've not been listening to our streams carefully and properly. On these streams, yeah, we actually have been defending to some extent the rights of Muslims. You didn't know that, did you? For example, throughout the Ben Shapiro stream, unlike very modern day Islamophobes who actually brandon Muslims to be terrorists, I made an argument from empirical evidence, actually quoting from people like Mehdi Hassan, to show that there's no link between Islamic terrorism and Islamic scriptures, in fact, or being a Muslim. That the empirical links do not exist. Furthermore, there's been many instances throughout. This is why you need to apologize. Throughout my career, right, where I've defended the rights of Muslims. For example, I am anti-burqa. I am anti-burqa legislation that bans the burqa, in the sense that in like France and so on, because I have some connection to human rights law. And as part of that, I defend the rights of Muslims to wear a burqa in a secular state. Where are you getting this idea of Islamophobia? We defend the rights.
He
This
said
is
this.
why I'm
Same
asking
with the
you.
Hindutva ex-Muslims.
Well, obviously, this is why I'm asking you to apologize, because unprovoked, unprompted, without evidence, without listening to our streams, without even knowing who I am, you just came on and simply said you're an Islamophobe. That has a meaning. That means that I have a hatred of Muslims. Absolutely and utterly not. But what are you talking about? This is why you need to apologize, and you need to apologize for that, and you need to apologize for coming on this stream and doing it again. Can you see what I'm saying? So you're in the wrong here. Yeah, and if you apologize, I'll apologize for swearing at you back, calling you somebody living in your mother's basement. This was designed to provoke you, yes.
Yeah, look, I understand you're trying to provoke me. And look, I don't know you. Sorry, I don't know. I still don't know your name. And I didn't join this stream because of you. I thought this stream is led by a fellow person. I don't know his name. Because I have listened to him a few times. And as I said in my previous, I think, a couple of minutes ago, he seems quite decent person, but he just seems so confused with his logic. So I always needed to speak to him. I mean, what is he trying to do in his life? Why you come onto these streams and what are you trying to achieve? I didn't want to speak to you, Mr. Madan. I want to talk to Madan. I don't know what's his name. I want to talk to just Philo, right? What are you trying to preach? What you are so confident about that you're trying to oppose when you go to these Muslim streams and trying to show people away, right? Because nobody knows, right? Nobody knows for surety. So which of these options is true. We take a pick and then we double down on that. That's what everybody is doing. So I wanted to understand Philo's idea, why he's doubling down on the idea that he is. That's the conversation I want to have. Please, let's pack everything away. I'm not going to apologize to you without investigating and finding about you, because when Philo joins these streams, he has that Islamophobic attitude because it looks like he's either funded or supported by some of these Indian Hindu 12 guys, or maybe I don't know where he's coming from. So I wanted to speak to him just to
Where are you
understand.
getting that from, by the way?
No, I'm not getting. No, sorry.
And
It feels like it appears.
where did you see that I have that Islamophobic attitude?
I don't know. Somewhere
Oh.
it reflects from the way you frame your questions or you have conversations.
No, I do.
It,
Have you ever
it,
seen me? I do criticize it, and I'm pretty open about it. I do go to streams. I do talk about all these questions. So, is criticizing Islam being Islamophobic?
no, asking questions is not Islamophobic, but criticizing something is definitely because you don't know, right? There's a difference between criticizing and critiquing. Critiquing is different. You criticize. You criticize means you see
I mean,
something not right.
you criticize by way of pointing at flaws, right?
No, but brother,
And maybe putting forth your arguments, right? And the opposing
brother,
side
that's
has
that's
always
where
open to present their arguments, right?
brother, that's where it's about critiquing and asking questions. The way you frame your questions, the way you ask a question, right? That because if I'm criticizing something, I'll
So,
ask question differently. My tone will be very different to when I'm trying to genuinely I'm inquisitive about something. I'm trying to
so
inquire about something.
was Prophet Muhammad mushrikophobe because he was
No, I'm not.
criticizing them, right?
Look, let's take
So
Prophet Muhammad out of it.
that's the kind of
Look,
argument you
brother,
fall
look,
into.
Philo,
If you
Philo, no,
see,
no, Philo, I'm trying to have a
you're gonna get
conversation
into a
about
host of
religion.
other arguments
No,
that that are gonna go against you pretty much. The
no,
same arguments could go against
no,
you as
look,
well, right?
look, mate. I know. I'm not sure. I think you're younger, right? You're probably in your late 20s or 30s, right? You have still a lot of catching up to do, a lot of experiences to learn before you can realize what's right and wrong, right? So let's take Prophet Muhammad
See,
out of it.
this tactic
Let's
is
take
not gonna
religion
work
out of
here
it.
on this channel. It might work on some other channels, not on this channel, right?
I've never been on any
Because
channel, right? I've
yeah,
never been on
you
many
just
channel.
saying that. Okay, sorry. No, I'm saying
I'm
you
just,
have to present really solid arguments to back up your claims.
um,
All you're
I'm,
doing is just making claims. No arguments
I'm,
so
I'm,
far. I haven't
I
heard
don't
any
have.
argument from
Look,
you so far.
I'm not a researcher like you, as I said, right? So that's why I
No,
wanted to
none of us
understand.
are researchers. We are just regular guys, have our regular jobs and
Yeah.
stuff, and do this
So if
thing
you can
out of you.
respond to my question, why are you trying to do this? What do you know that others don't know? You think, right? That's
See,
what I'm trying to understand from you.
why not do it is the question, basically.
why do you want to mislead? So that's what I want to know.
No,
How?
we are not
What's
misleading. We are raising
what?
questions. We are pointing
No,
at flaws,
brother,
basically.
that's
If somebody has better answers to those, yes,
So
you present them.
let me just try and help here with the. I want to try and be as respectful as possible to explain these things. So, well, obviously, what I suspect that Philo would want to say, and all of us may want to say, is that just like a Muslim has perceptions, a person who's an adherent of the Islamic religion will have to, by obligation, spread dawah, right? To bring people to the fold. Yeah, everybody has their political ideologies, and from that front, they want to bring and raise awareness, enlightenment, and shed truth. And you can do this genuinely and sincerely. Okay. Now, it could be that I am wrong. It could be that Philo is wrong. We could be wrong. It's very possible. But we do genuinely believe in certain things, and that might contradict or be in contrast to your ideology. But yeah, so just like you're saying to us, why do you do this? Why do Muslims wake up every morning thinking that we need to, some Muslims, not all of them, thinking we need to spread dawah because they believe genuinely, sincerely, and honestly that they have the truth, and they want to express the problems of the world, the secular world, materialistic world. Maybe this world is limited. Maybe we need to be more chivalrous or something like that. Traditional mindsets, we need to come back. You want this to happen, and in similar vein, yeah, every other ideology has the same thing as well. It's not necessarily motivated out of maliciousness, out of ill hate. Not necessarily. I know there are racists out there. I know there are people who are, guess what? You've been calling us people with complexes and all this stuff, but you don't realize that I am actually a very big advocate of attacking the colonialism of the past. I'm a vocal advocate of it. For example, my ancestors have been brutally injured and hurt by the British, and I'm a British citizen. I was born in Britain. I don't give lip service to that. So we are very critical and very open about these things. We're not necessarily racist. We're not hating Pakistanis or Bengalis or Indians. Yet we probably believe that indeed they have committed horrific war crimes. War crimes. I don't believe Winston Churchill, for example, was a heroic person. He was partly heroic, maybe, but there's a lot of gruesomeness. He called the Bengali famine. He diverted resources from it, and that caused an indirect genocide. What you talk? So this is what I'm trying to say. You've misunderstood us, misunderstood me, maybe in Philo. We're not for these things. We're just genuine people who are advocating for a different political belief. We just don't believe in the literal truth of a theistic Judaism or Islam. That's it. It has nothing to do with trying to become white. Yeah, it has nothing to do with hating on Muslims. Absolutely not. Yeah.
So, brother, can we come back to the point? Like, I prefer to have very short conversations. So, coming back to the question around why these Muslim people who do dawah, see, they genuinely believe, and like now, even the same process, even I believe there's a God, there's Allah, there's a creator. But I think this is the conversation I'm trying to have is one level up there, within Islam or Hindu, any religion. I'm trying to keep at the level of creator. I believe there's a creator, like the guy who goes for dawah. Same way, I'm trying to ask, and they have a reason to explain. If I have a conversation with three people, they can explain to me, and even I can explain to you why I believe there's a creator. The same way, I want to ask why Philo believes in what he believes, and he's not answered me that. Like we're talking about beating around the bush. He's not trying to answer that.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting.
There are different. Yeah, go ahead, Mahadan.
No. I just wanted to say, just like you genuinely believe there's a creator, he might genuinely. Can we just acknowledge that? You don't know whether he genuinely believes there is no creator. Now, the reasons might differ. We can then talk about it. Like, for example, the logical arguments, the scientific arguments, etc. But my point is, just like you believe in a creator, Philo doesn't believe in a creator. That's it. So why are you assuming malice? Why are you assuming a malicious mindset? Where do you get that?
I'm assuming malice because of the way he comes on these streams, where most of the people are dealing with a lot of Islamophobes. The question, the tone, the way you frame questions, the same tone and same use sort of language being used as generally used by Islamophobes. So that's why I picked up from Philo, and that's why I want to speak to him because, as I said a few times, he seems quite
Can,
sensible,
can you
reasonable
can you
person.
point to
Yeah.
can you point to any particular stream where you thought that I was being Islamophobe for whatever reasons you had?
Look, I don't recall. I generally, when I'm driving to work or sometimes in the train, that's when I listen. I don't listen to these regularly and make notes.
Right. Then
But
how did you come
but
to that
because
conclusion? Is the question, because
yeah,
I have always had
it's your
a cordial
subconscious, man. It's
conversation.
your subconscious. When you listen to somebody, you just
It's in
get
your subconscious because you're on the
yeah,
other side and you think any criticism should be taken as, should
yeah.
be taken
See,
as
I think we
Islamophobe.
spoke about this word criticism. I don't want to repeat. Criticism itself is basically a very negative. So that if you criticize somebody, it shows in negativity. That's what is the word critique,
Ha-
right?
Have you
Or
have you
or,
have have
or
you ever heard me or any one of us saying that we should, you know, not mix with a certain community, or that community is, that religion is
no,
bad or
you
something like
cannot. You
that. Have you
cannot. I
ever
mean,
heard that?
Islam is a global religion. There's a white, there's a brown, there's Arab, there's everything. So, look, uh, look let's go back. You explain to me why you go on these streams. So you must have something very solid logic that where
I
you
think
believe that.
also, just like what Madan said, just like all your apologists think, pretty much, take Muhammad Hijab or Hamza sources, or name it, right? Zakir
I
Naik,
never I've not listened
right?
to any of those. So
No, no,
I've
you
never
don't
listened to
listen.
any
I'm
of
not
those.
saying.
So
I'm not saying.
I don't even
But
know.
do
I
they
don't
do
even know, to be
they
honest.
go
Who
do they go
I
and
know about Muhammad. Hang on, brother, listen. Right. I know I heard about Muhammad Hijab. I've never listened to him. I don't know who Hamza Sortes is. I don't know what his name. I don't. I'm not into this. It's just that I got into because I'm from India. There's so much Islamophobia in India at this moment, and I'm from Central UP. We're suffering, right, because of this hate. So
well,
that's where I got to these. I even didn't know
for that
that
for that you
ex-Muslims
need to
and these
for that you
Islamophobes
need to
existed.
go to for
Well,
that you
obviously,
need to
okay,
go to some other streams. Probably you're thinking we are somebody else, probably,
yeah,
right?
Just Philo, one
Yeah.
minute. I think, well,
Yeah.
obviously, you've not been able to demonstrate, and I say this respectfully. I'm not challenging you in
Yeah.
that. You've not shown an ostensible, obvious case of a situation where somebody's been discriminatory or phobic. Phobic is irrational hate. That's Islamophobia. Irrational hate against the entire group of people, right? Where, for example, one Muslim does one thing and you generalize and you say all Muslims like this. That might be irrational hate. We're not talking about people. We've never really mentioned individuals, not like that anyway. We are usually debating ideas, usually debating abstract questions like the philosophical questions surrounding a generic God, not necessarily an Islamic God. But sometimes we do talk about Islamic God and so on. That's about it. But we've never advocated the hate, the killing, the slaughter, nothing like that. Yeah, in fact, we've written in the description we don't advocate any sort of malicious attack on people. So what you need to do, and I'm not saying this in a completely challenging way. I'm saying in a respectful way. You do need to show us a bit more concrete evidence where Philo has gone there to create hate against Muslims. Absolutely not. If this sort of work leads to this sort of disruption in India, then we apologize in the sense that I'll say in the sense that, well, not apologize. Apologize is not the right word. Apologize is not the right. What we mean is, what we feel sorry for the idea that by talking about things neutrally leads to problems. How? Because we're not advocating it. We're not inciting it. It's not our fault. You understand? It's not our fault if somebody listens to our words and or something like that and does something. But you need to show that. You need to show this with concrete evidence. How does?
Madan, I'll say that there are other channels who are doing much. There are quite a few channels, I think, and well, obviously has picked our channel for some reason. I don't know. There are quite a few channels there that might be doing what he's accusing us of doing. So I think his accusation is misplaced. Well, obviously, and respectfully, I think I disagree that your accusation is misplaced. Maybe if there's one stream, and if I have made a mistake, if you think that I in one or two streams, if you can show me or show us, I'm ready to apologize. But I don't think I have ever been. That is not in my nature. If you hear all of our streams, I think I'm the coolest and calmest person in the stream, pretty much. So I don't think that's in my nature to go to a stream and incite any kind of a.
No, fellow, you never done so. Look, no need to apologize, and that's why I'll never go to. As I said, this is my first stream I ever joined. I'll not go to any. I don't have that much time to join these streams anyway, and I cannot stop them. So, but somehow I hear you, I listen to you on a few, as I said, Mufti Sahib on other streams, and you sounded quite reasonable. So that's why and then your, I think YouTube prompted me, and that's when I typed a message, responded to you because there was some whatever you guys were talking about Islam or something. But I don't want to talk. I'm seriously interested in your theory, why you think, and what you think. You know, the way I believe there's a God, I have read, I can prove to you, not prove, basically, I can build my logic around it to explain to you why I think there's a God, there's a creator exists. And that might be Islamic creator. So
Right.
same way, how are you sure in something what
Right.
I don't know what's your belief, whether
All right.
it
Well,
is
obviously, can I just
Yeah.
interrupt?
Yeah, please.
So the thing is, you're asking that from Philo. I mean, I can do the same thing as well. I think Philo would agree with a lot of things that I say as well. What I could do is I could show you the case for naturalism. You may not need to agree with it, whatever, but at least you'll understand it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm all ears.
So it's not. I won't do it now precisely because it's too long, and I do need to go. We've been here for 2 hours 25 minutes. What we could do, you can have a conversation later. But what I could do is you can contact me on an email, and I can send you essays that have been written by academic philosophers that I find persuasive. The case for naturalism involves multiple layers of arguments, a series of arguments. It's a comprehensive case engaging with most of the theistic literature from philosophers from both sides, etc. And the case for naturalism will tackle stuff like fine-tuning argument, cosmological arguments for God, and so on, and say that and show that most of the arguments favor atheistic naturalism, which is a nature without God. Now, this may or may not be right. Okay, you can disagree with it, whatever, but you'll at least know the reasons why. Yeah, and maybe you've not seen anything like that before. That there's actually an alternative case for atheism. I know people say that atheism is not a positive argument; it's the suspension from believing in God or something like that. I don't know if you've heard stuff like that, but you can actually make a positive case for the non-existence of God, or a positive case for naturalism. This might sound baffling to you. I get it, because when you are on the other side, it sounds strange. But then you can at least sympathize, or at least see.
Brother, I'm not on the other side. To be honest, I went to one of the top Indian institutes. I've done mathematics, right? I've always been 100%, 99% mathematics. I've studied engineering. I'm a very logical person. I don't like writing a lot of stuff, right? I'm very, very black and white sort of when it comes to logic and numbers. So even though I'm from Islamic background, I was never Muslim. In 28, I left Islam because I was in Western country living with other people. But then I started doing this more research to convert my wife back into, because she was becoming I shouldn't okay. So I've been through this journey. It's not I was a big fan of Bill Maher and all these guys before I found out their reality back in 2007, 2008, Stephen Hawking, all that bullshit, right? And then I realized, I mean, nobody knows. They just everybody needs to decide for themselves based on their
can I just interrupt? Can I just interrupt? So with stuff like Bill Maher, Stephen Hawking, I don't even consider them philosophers of atheism or naturalism. They're not even scratched the surface. If I read Bill Maher and Stephen Hawking, I would have a very bad understanding of atheism. Right? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be showing you actual philosophers who actually trained in philosophy, who were also, some of them are scientists as well, but they are strong in philosophy. People like, I don't know if you've heard of them, Graham Oppy. right? Alex
No,
Malloy.
brother, I'm not. And look, I'll be very honest. I've got a great aversion to philosophers. I mean, I somehow the word philosophy itself to me means
Yeah, but it's
it has
very
such a
logical.
negative
The thing
connotation
is,
for me
it's
because I think I told you that my
yeah,
uncle studied philosophy, and
sure.
that because I mean we come from a really educated family, so the philosophical ideas just doesn't make sense to me. For me, it's more logic, more maths,
No,
right?
no,
More
no. Yeah, but
science. Yeah,
this is
that makes sense.
analytical. Yeah. So, well, obviously, this is analytical philosophy that is built upon science, analytical thinking, math. Yes, it uses math, Bayesian reasoning, and so on. Probability, statistics. These are all things that are inclined with the mathematical view of the world. Yeah. In fact, it's heavily linked to this sort of thinking. If this is the type of thinking that you want, then this actually does it, right? I don't know what extent your aversion is to philosophy or why. I mean, I have an aversion to philosophy as well, and I'm a philosopher. I have an aversion to philosophy because there's a lot of bullshit in philosophy, right? But that does not mean there isn't good stuff as well in philosophy. I can show you the reasons. I mean, I guarantee you that if you believe in God, you have certain reasons. Then you're already automatically committed to philosophy, right? Ultimately, you can't escape philosophy. There's a famous quote by William Lane Craig, he's a philosopher. The person who says there's no use of philosophy is most likely to be fooled by it, right? And I'm not saying you're a fool, so please don't take it offensively.
No,
But
no, no, it's all right. It's all right.
what I'm trying to say is that because it's
Madan, that statement itself is philosophical, right?
exactly.
There's no
Yeah. Yeah. The point is, you can't escape the philosophical worldview. Even a
right.
view where you want to learn things through mathematics it's ultimately it begs certain questions that are built upon philosophy. It's a philosophical conclusion, and in that sense, what I'm trying to say is that there's been lots of work by atheists which will probably interact with your thoughts. Whatever reasons you have for believing in God, for example, it can be I can communicate with you through philosophy in a sensible way, right? And maybe I'll send you certain papers that summarizes the case. You can tell me what you think. Yeah, hopefully we can have a cordial conversation about it, right? Not falling into accusations, personal insults, psychological analysis of each other's personality, complexes. There's no need for that. Just focus on the merits of the case, and we can go through it. I don't see anything wrong with that. And then you can tell me where I've gone wrong. I can tell you where you've gone wrong. We can shake hands. And that's it. What's the issue with that?
No, that totally makes sense, but I'm not sure if I'll have that much time.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine. That's fine actually. So I mean, do you guys want a conversation now, or are you looking to end the call
Right
in the
now,
stream?
it's 12 o'clock at night right now. So
Sure.
what I'll
I
say
think
is,
it's a little
yeah,
late, so maybe next time if you join, if you see us live, then definitely do join, and then we can have a conversation. And also, I mean, yeah, I think cordial conversations is the way to go, because we always want to understand the other side, and I hope, and I sincerely hope that the other side is trying to understand us as well, right? And most of my conversations with Mufti Saab, and their position is almost 100%, and that's something that I have pointed to him, that it's really intellectually dishonest to be almost 100% sure, because that's how it is, and that's why usually I go and at least have a conversation that, see, there are these flaws in your arguments, and that's one of the motivations for me to go over there and have a conversation, right?
No,
Because
sure. Makes sense. I understand, but I think probably I need to sort of peel. I would like to understand a bit more, so peel the onion a bit and just look at the next layer. But
what you can
go
do,
there
Love,
with
is
a bit more stronger case, with stronger
no,
questions. Maybe.
these are there are problems. See, I'll tell you one, philosophically, if their position is 100%, my smallest argument, if true, no matter how small it is, 0.0001% probable, that should shatter their 100%, is what my point is, right?
Yeah, I
It's a
think
very
no,
simple,
but you had some very
right?
strong argument, a strong
Huh?
case. This
I don't
in
have to bring,
this.
that's what I'm saying. I don't have to
Mm,
bring the strongest argument. I just have to, you know, point holes in their arguments, pretty much, right? And
No,
that's
what
what
I'm saying,
shatters their
since
argument.
I'm listening to you, you had some really strong case.
I don't know which stream, either Mufti Saab or Amir Haq's stream, where Amir Haq basically had to come up with some response for you, and I don't think that was very satisfactory. That's not the right word.
So
Yeah,
you're actually
he had to sort of make that.
good points.
Yeah.
You're actually saying Philo made some good points.
Yeah, Philo made really good point. Just won the last stream, and I really don't recall what that was, though, because generally I'm doing something else. Either I'm in the train or I'm driving, so I'm not listening all the time, because you're focusing on doing something else. So maybe I actually even forgot which stream it was, but if you recall, I think that was really very strong case he made since at least he's been joining these streams.
All right.
Okay.
I think I think we are out of time for tonight. I think what I said when we started opened the stream, I said we'll have guests for 10 minutes. I think we're over more than 1 hour. I think, well, obviously, I think whatever said and done, probably I think both of us, all of us apologize if we said something, maybe in the heat of the moment. What we can do is maybe keep this channel open, have conversations, cordial conversations, no ad hominems, and yeah, just listen to
sounds
each
good to
other.
me.
Basically, that's the best thing to do, right?
Yeah, sounds good to me. Thanks.
All right, awesome.
Okay, thanks for having me. Bye.
All right. Thanks for dropping by. All right.
Let's just close the stream now. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just close the stream. Cosmic, you still here, or you got busy with your work?
No, I'm still here. I just
you
didn't
were
have
still
anything.
here. I thought you got.
Watching with popcorn.
Yeah, I had my headphones in, but I thought I would contribute if he brought out an argument that he believed, because he mentioned he was on Amir's stream, and he also mentioned he's on Mufti's stream. So I thought if he brought out a particular argument of theirs that he really liked, we could discuss it. But it went into a different direction that I didn't feel like I could contribute to, so I just stayed quiet. But I was listening.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I haven't been to Amir's stream, and only streams that I go to is Kasar Ahmad Raja's stream and Wajdi's stream, and a few other Dawa guys probably, maybe here and there once in a while when they allow, But mostly I just go to Mufti Wajdi's stream because he's a pretty decent person and lets you talk at least, right? Other streams, it's very hard to get a chance to even put your point, basically, because right.
Let's just go. I'm getting tired. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Okay. Let's any closing remarks, Cosmic, on your side?
No. I think we should. Yeah.
All right.
I think close to the hour.
Before close.
Everyone.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I just said it's getting close to 3 hours, so I think we should just end. No closing.
Yeah. All right. I'll just say like, subscribe, share, everybody. And this was a good stream. A little strange towards the end, but all settled now. So hope to see you guys later on. Bye for now. Thank you, Mahadan, Cosmic, Ugba, and even well, obviously, right? Sorry.
All right.
You want to say something?
No. I'm just saying bye. That's it.
All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.